For those who are new or unfamiliar with my content, I would like to give a disclaimer. Slow Damage has an extremely self-destructive main character, and his nonchalant comments about his lack of concern for himself does trigger my nervous laughter. If you'd like to view my content that covers darker and triggering subjects like this one, please consume it responsibly and know that this content is not for minors. I want to emphasize that if you experience any of the severe symptoms that Towa does, I highly encourage that you seek professional help rather than view this playthrough. Good evening and welcome to Slow Damage Part 7. Last time we... I'm still laughing about it. Last time we ended up with the unexpected Mayu ending. I was looking for more interrogation words and ended up at Mayu's home. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Anyway, today we're gonna see if we can get to the end of Taku's chapter. I don't know how long his chapter is. I don't know if the main guys have longer chapters or if it's just like, or just different or something. I don't know. But let's see what we can find out. I want to know what's up with Taku because he's being very mysterious and I have no context clues in any way, shape, or form. So let's give it a go. This one, right? Yeah. I made an extra save load, you know, just in case. Okay. Sorry, just give me a moment. I think we went through the... There we go. Okay. We went through that section, so... So we're not gonna go to Ko Street. We're gonna go to Towa's house. So... Oh, boy. Have mercy on me. Okay. Exploration. Oh. On my way back to the clinic, I passed by the park. Then I spotted someone coming my way and stopped short. It was Taku. Was his errand finally finished? He noticed me and made a beeline right to me. His expression looked stiff and tense in a way I couldn't place. 用事は終わったのか?
ああ、昼飯はもう食べて。
Did you eat sir?
レイと食べに行ってた。そうか。俺も合流しようかと思ってたんだが、間に合わなかったな。
He smiled wearily. For a split second, something felt off.
レイに連絡したのか? いや。車は?
Yeah, where is your car? He looked at me dubiously. Possibly he wasn't expecting me to ask him a barrage of questions.
合流ってどこへ行くつもりだ? 合流ってどこへ行くつもりだったんだ? レイには聞いてないんだよな。
Oh.
昼飯は柳川コーヒー店に行くことが多いだろ? だから覗きに行ったんだが、お前たちがいなかったから戻ってきたんだ。レイはもう帰ったのか? 友達の店に行った。そうか。そういえば。
He narrowed his
さっき
eyes.
道端で殴り合いの喧嘩をしてる奴らがいたんだが。
Oh boy.
知ってる顔だったのか? 見たことがあるって程度で名前までは知らん。五十嵐君が言っていた通りだ。
Oh my.
高里組はしばらく荒れるだろうから、お前も不用意に出歩くなよ。
We'll give it a try. A hint of irritation rose up inside me. I already had this conversation with Igarashi.
今更だろ、そんなの。わざわざ言うことじゃない。
Oh boy. Spicy over here.
だからだ。ずっと住んでると、この町の治安の悪さに慣れちまうが。気を引き締めないとひどい目に遭うぞ。それを俺に言うのか。と。いつどこでしょう。どうだっていい。
Ooh. With that, I turned away from him. I knew he was just worried about me. Obviously, I understood that. But it pissed me off whenever he tried to control what I did with my own life. Given how long he'd been in my life, sometimes it felt like he still saw me as a kid. Exhaling, I headed off to the clinic without looking back. Slow damage. Yeah! Heck yeah, bruh. Late that night, I was sitting on the sofa, sketchpad on my knee, drawing away. Didn't have any clear idea of what I wanted to draw. I was just scrawling dark lines like I was trying to get something out of my system. Wait. Sorry. I just wanna... So cute. I just love looking at the thing. the CG. Sorry. I didn't have any clear idea of what I wanted to draw. I was just scrawling dark lines like I was trying to get something out of my system. Mood. The TV droned endlessly. Then I paused to check the clock. Suddenly, it was past 1 a.m. Having lost my focus, I tossed my sketchpad onto the coffee table. There was a light crinkling sound as it hit the paper bag full of sleeping pills. Is this a drug? Is this actually like a drug thing? Is that what this is about? You know, because they did mention that, you know. Come to think of it, I still hadn't talked to Taku about my new prescription. I should have mentioned it earlier in the afternoon, then he pissed me off by trying to dictate my life. The memory angered me all over again. Physical pain I was used to. These chronic health problems, on the other hand, didn't have a clear solution. The sleeping pills were causing it, then I had to stop taking them. The clinic was closed, but Taku was probably still downstairs. With that thought, I left the room and boarded the elevator. Arriving at the ground floor, I walked down the hallway to the exam room and heard Taku's voice coming from inside. Another phone call? He was speaking in hushed tones, so it was hard to make anything out. For a moment I considered barging in, but thought better of it. These phone calls had grown more and more frequent lately. Was someone harassing him, or did he get dragged into some kind of mess? Were these phone calls the reason he kept acting strangely? Curious though I was, I had no intention of forcing it out of him. I didn't want to meddle in his life any more than I wanted him to meddle in mine. Sleeping pills weren't something I needed to take. I could get a decent amount of sleep if I got drunk. Exhaling quietly, I turned and headed back down the hall. Oh boy. That night, I lay on the sofa and drifted in and out of sleep until morning. Absently, I stared at the white light streaming in through the blinds. Just then, the door opened. I could see Taku peeking through the gap.
Towa, 朝だぞ。起きろよ。
He walked off without setting a single foot inside. My brain was still half asleep, so for a minute I wasn't entirely sure what had happened. I just stared blankly at the door. What was that about? Normally, Taku always came into my room to wake me. Ooh. Was he busy dealing with some emergency? I thought back over what just happened. Something felt off. His smoke. Taku's smoke was swaying erratically. Was he just that exhausted? It didn't explain why he wouldn't enter my room, though. As I pondered, I got dressed and left the apartment. Okay, we getting sus in here. We getting too sus. It was just past 9 o'clock, still plenty of time before the clinic opened. I walked down the hall and opened the exam room door. Inside, excuse me, I found a man dressed in a suit. It was Igarashi. As Taku bandaged his arm, he noticed me and smiled.
Towa-san, ohayou gozaimasu.
Why are you here again?
早いな。前に怪我を見てもらった時に3日後ぐらいに来てくれって言われてたんすけど、今日の朝しか時間がなくて。
This is the only time you had a bit. What do you do?
それで電話したら見てもらえることになったんで、本当すみません。
Boy.
気にしなくていい。
Taku answered stoically as he continued his task. I took one look at him and narrowed my eye. Something about Taku was slightly off today, his smoke included.
大丈夫なのか、高里組は。
まあ一応今のところはって感じっすね。
boy.
榊さんとトーノさんで揉めてるんだろ
Tono san.
う。どんどんひどくなる。
He said, "Oop."
それは
Ah,
そうかもしれないっす。
what is his tea? Oh boy. Taku fell silent for a moment.
これはとても言いにくいことなんだな。
With that disclaimer, he gave Igarashi a stern look.
この怪我の治療が終わったら状況が落ち着くま
Oh?
でうちに来ないでくれないか。
え
Oh? Igarashi looked back at him, perplexed.
他の患者さんがいる手前な。みんな高里組の不穏な空気は感じ取っています。
Interesting.
そうっすね。
Guiltily, Igarashi slumped his shoulders. I understood where Taku was coming from. The average citizen of Shinkomi had a very low opinion of the Takasato Gumi. They just knew better than to say it outright. And the more trouble the Takasato Gumi was involved in, the worse their reputation would become. But there was something off about Taku's tone and expression. I sensed a weight to it that suggested he was panicked somehow.
もし痛みが続くようであれば連絡をくれ。
わかりました。
Interesting.
ありがとうございました。いろいろ本当すみません。
Igarashi bowed deeply and was clear he was apologizing for more than the inconvenience of his schedule this morning.
いや、こっちこそ本当に申し訳ない。
いえ、先生の言ってることもわかりますから。それじゃありがとうございました。失礼します。
Poor, gaudily dressed boy. Igarashi rose from the chair, bowed once more, and then left the exam room. Taku stared at the floor, shoulders slumped. Then, with a sigh, he reached up and massaged the furrow in his brow.
疲れてるなら休めよ。
At this, his hand fell still.
わかるか。
ああ。
そうか。
He looked down at his feet, then let out a self-depreciating sigh.
しかしな、休めって言われて簡単に休めるわけでもないからな。
I don't think that's what this is about, Taku.
そのうち患者にも休めって言われるようになるぞ。
Ain't
も
wrong.
う言われてる。
They already do.
どうしようもないな。
Indeed. Indeed.
それでも休めないって言うならご自由に。
I straightened up and walked to the
と
door.
は
At the sound of my name, I looked over my shoulder. I could see hesitation in his eyes as he frowned at me.
確かにお前の言う通りだ。無理をして診察中にミスをしたらそれこそ本末転倒だよな。
I'm so like, I have no guesses. I like really don't. Because I'm just like. Resolve settled into his expression as he rose from his chair.
だが昨日も臨時休業にした手前、さすがに2日続けて休むのは患者さんにも申し訳ない。
This is what happens when there's only like one doctor, you know?
今日は午前中だけ休みにしよう。スタッフには連絡を入れておく。
Interesting.
仮眠でも取るのか？
Gonna take a nap? No, he's not.
いや、実は前からずっと行きたいと思っていたところが。
Where are you going?
せっかくだから気分転換も兼ねて行ってみようと思うんだが。
Tag
お前
along.
も来るか？
Towa, you better say yes. I need the tea. I was about to decline, but the words never left my lips. His smoke had just spasmed and changed color. His eyes were tinged with melancholy.
ああ。
そうか。
Sure.
それじゃあ準備してきてくれ。
Oh boy. Relieved, Taku grabbed his cell phone off his desk. Probably to get in touch with the people scheduled to work later today. As for me, I left the exam room and headed back to my apartment. Man, what's the tea? After a 30-minute drive in Taku's car, We crossed over the bridge and arrived at Shinkomi Seaside Park. We stopped the car in the parking lot, then hopped out. A strong breeze carried the smell of the sea to my nose as it blew against my cheek. Not a word, Taku started walking, then came to a stop once the ocean came into view. I walked up beside him and pulled out my cigs.
本当にヘビースモーカーだな、お前は。
Taku, you're killing me. Taku glanced at me out of the corner of his eye and smiled wryly.
タバコは飯か水代わりだ。
Exactly.
ちゃんと食べろよ。水も飲め。早死にするぞ。
吸うか。
Want one? After I lit up, I offered him my crumpled pack. Still smiling, he shook his head.
誘惑するなよ。やめたんだ。
隣で座れると吸いたくならないか。
お前は隣でなくても四六時中吸ってるだろうが。もう慣れたよ。
He said exposure therapy. Taku looked out at the sea. I followed suit, slowly exhaling. Carried on the breeze, the cigarette smoke floated over the water until it eventually dispersed. The seaside park was vast and empty, probably due to the freezing temperature outside. Old folks and dog walkers occasionally passed by, but that was about it. I could see a Ferris wheel in the distance, but no one was riding it. It was painted in bright colors and spinning slowly like the wind was pushing it along.
こうやって海を見てると、俺は何をやってるんだって気分になるな。
Shame. His words were so faint, the wind nearly whisked them away. I looked at him, but he kept staring out at the sea, grimacing.
ずっとこういう広々とした場所に来れば気分転換になるんじゃないかと。すっきりするんじゃないかと思ってたんだが、むしろ逆だったな。
Oh boy. He exhaled and fell silent for a moment.
俺は医者だ。だから一人でも多くの命を救いたいと思ってる。だが今こうしてる間にもきっと数えきれないほどの命が失われている。人なんて簡単に死んでいく。そう考えると人の死に方は生まれた時から決まっていて、どんなにあがいても逃れられないものなんじゃないかって。
What are you implying, Taku? What is this foreshadowing you're giving me?
特に若いやつが志半ばにして死んだりすると余計にな。人はとはお前はどう思う？
What does Towa think? I didn't have any answer ready. As smoke rose from the tip of my cigarette, I gazed out at the ocean.
さあな。
Beats me! Good answer.
真剣に考えてくれ。
Stop and think about it for a minute. Okay. As he pressed, I shot him a sidelong glance. The smoke was shifting. It was trembling, its color flashing relentlessly. Maybe he wanted to talk about it. Maybe he wanted me to ask him. I looked into his eyes, unblinking.
We're
お前
here.
はどう思う？
The time. Let's go, babies. Okay. Let me rub my hands together. The time has come. The time has come. The time has come. And it. Okay. Okay.
そうだ。
All right, kids. In just a moment, I'm gonna drink some water to prepare for this moment. Crazy. Alright. Let's go, Towa. I think it's a waste of time to think about it. Nobody knows for sure when they're gonna die. Well, you're not wrong there. Let's make a suggestion.
例えば
Instead, why not focus on all the people you're capable of helping?
確かにな。
Okay. Seriously, you're wasting your time asking me. You sure? I was curious to get your take.
だろ?
And sometimes it's important to have a conversation face to face. Let's play.
Positive.
Let's play along. Taku's a tough cookie to crack, you know. So you want to ask the question even if you already know the answer?
そうだな。
Something like that. Sometimes it's better to set the record straight.
なあ。
Towa, how old are you turning this year? You'll be 27 in March, right?
多分
Think so.
おいおい。
You don't remember? No, same. What about you? How old are you?
Oh.
You again? 46. Oh, girl, 46. I thought he was a lot younger. However, this changes nothing. Let's joke.
ネガティブ
Let's joke. I think he likes the jokes. Geez, you're ancient. Yep, I'm a decrepit old man. Your point? Okay. Yeah.
何を話すのか
Does it bother you that I'm interested in your age?
うん。
Nah, I don't care that much. Okay. Yeah, let's
揺さぶ
push.
ってみるか
He's like, this isn't as like
No.
pressing, if that makes sense, because we're not in a high stakes kind of situation. It's more of like an emotional response kind of vibe. Are you really that old? I just don't see it.
はいはい。
Spare me your cheap flattery. Okay.
何を抱えているの
What
か
is he struggling with? Okay. Studying. Did I get everything? Oh, I feel like this isn't all of it. Is this it? Oh, yes! Okay, good, good, good. I was just like, give me the tea!
何の勉強をしてるんだ
勉強？ああ。
Uh-huh.
まあ、いろいろとな。やらなきゃならないことがあるんだ。
Stuff. Killing me. Okay, yeah, that's one. Okay, maybe I'll talk to Taku a little longer. Okay,
どうする
what'll it be?
まだ時間
Still
は
have some time. Okay.
そういえば
Why'd you quit smoking?
ん？
Well, it's not good for you. Let's do another
Positive.
question.
どうなんだ
Don't you ever crave it?
そうだな。
Sure I do, sometimes. We're just gonna keep poking at him because I feel like,
興味
you
がある
know, we have to poke at the guarded person. How does it make you feel when I smoke around you? I'm interested to know.
なんてな。
It's a little distracting. Sometimes I still catch myself trying to pull out a pack.
お前
It's not often you talk to someone the way you spoke to Igarashi.
ん。
Oh, that. Yeah, I probably could have phrased it better.
Positive. まあ
He got the picture at least.
そう
That was my intention, but I could have tried a little harder to be nice about it. Yeah, yeah. It's like you said, you can't get everything you want in life.
確かにな
You've got a point there. Yeah. Just
それは
clink at him, clink at him. We can't see what someone else is thinking, and it can create misunderstandings. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Okay.
それで
Did you hear the latest about Asakura?
どうした
No, what's going on now? Ah, here we go. Let's answer plainly.
Positive. あ
He's leaving Shinkomi.
うん
I see.
そういえば
You're awfully chatty today, you know that?
ありがとなとは
Are you trying to cheer me up? If so, then thanks. Yeah,
Positive.
yeah.
ああそう
You're
だ
the one who said it's important to have a conversation
その
sometimes.
通りだ
I sure did. Yeah.
よしまあ
You told me to stop and think about it, and now I'm interested. I just felt like it, that's all. Okay.
あ
Okay, let's
Taku.
push some more. Well, did you get what you
ありが
wanted?
とう
Yeah.
タクの意図は
Taku wants. Okay.
過保護
Here we go.
俺に対して過保護だって言われることあるだろ
People ever tell you you're
まあなお前を子供の頃から見てきたってのもあるし何よりお前は危なっかしいから仕方がないできる限り俺は自分の周りの大切な人たちを守りたいそのために人を救うために医者になったんだか
Tell
ら
me
な
more, tell me more. Like, does he have a car? Sorry.
なんか
Sorry.
引っかかる
Something seems off.
結構
We've talked quite a bit.
話したな
Ooh, okay.
そうだな
Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
こうやってお前と二人だけでゆっくり話すのは久々だな
Oh boy.
あ
I generally wasn't the chatty type, but because I'd known Taku and Rei for so long, I had an easier time making small talk with them. Lately, though, I hadn't had the opportunity, especially not with
せっ
Taku.
かくの機会だ何か話したいことはないのか何でもいいぞ
Okay, let's talk about it.
睡眠薬なんだけど
About my sleeping pills.
ああ効き目はどうだ
合わないかもしれない
I don't think so.
具体的にどういう症状が出たのか教えてくれ
寝起きの気分がひどい
Ooh.
頭痛と吐き気がしてフラフラする
Frowning, he averted his eyes in contemplation.
飲み始めで体が過剰に反応しているのかもしれんな
Hmm.
もし 2,3 日経っても変わらないようならすぐに言ってくれ
Suspicious.
わかった
Got it.
夢の方はどうなんだまだ悪夢を見るのか
最近は見ないな
Not lately.
ならよかった
Okay.
さてそろそろ行くか
I dropped my cigarette and crushed it under my heel. Scowling, Taku reached into his
俺の前で
pocket.
ポイ捨ては許さんぞと
Oh. Something round tumbled out of his pocket and hit the ground. When it stopped rolling, I recognized it as a portable ashtray. Right as I went to grab it, my hand collided with Taku's as he moved to do the same. Oh? The moment our fingers touched, he whipped his hand away. Oh!
悪いな。
Hey, yo. Forcing a smile, he took the ashtray from my hand, then picked up my cigarette butt and put it inside. Didn't something similar happen on New Year's Eve, too? Why did Taku always overreact whenever our hands touched?
車に戻るぞ。
Let's go back to the car. Ooh, kitchen. He started walking at a brisk pace. Has it happened twice now? Was he just a germaphobe, or... No, it couldn't be. Taku wasn't like that. He was probably just overthinking it again. Right? Puzzled, I followed after him. We left the park and traveled to the diner, where we ordered lunch. Partway through, Taku's cell phone started to buzz on the table.
Buddy.
Oh, not another call. With my blessing, he answered the phone.
Hey.
As the call began, Taku's expression grew steadily more and more panicked. When it was over, he announced that we were going straight back to the clinic. The reason for this soon made itself apparent. All over social media, there were articles announcing that the Takasato Gumi had been attacked during an executive meeting. The phone call was a request for Taku to treat the injured. He seemed hesitant, but ultimately agreed. By the time we arrived back at the clinic, a station wagon was already parked in the alley in front of the side entrance. Some Takasato goons hopped out, carrying a man who was bleeding from the stomach. Then another station wagon pulled up, and more wounded came spilling out of it. Just like that, the secondary medical ward was now fully booked. Once Rei, Aremura, and the other staff members arrived, we all worked together to tend to the Takasato patients. There were 4 casualties in total, 3 minor and 1 critical. When it came time for the clinic to open for afternoon appointments, Taku raced downstairs, then came back up later. Rinse and repeat. Dang, ma. Late that night, after a roller coaster of a day, Rei and I sat slumped in the empty waiting room. Taku had sent the other staff home. He was still on the second floor watching over the critical patient.
昨日に続いて今日も午前中は休診だなんて連絡があったと思ったら
Mood.
午後は大変なことになってなんだか最近落ち着かないわね。
Rei sighed heavily. As his exhaustion dissipated, the front door suddenly flew open. 2 men in suits staggered inside.
すみません、急ぎでお願いできますか。
Oh, Igarashi! One of the men was Igarashi. The other was slumped against him. He looked to be nearly unconscious. Startled, Rei bolted to his
五十
feet.
嵐君どうしたの？
こいつの様子がおかしくて。
Ooh,
ちょっと待ってね。
something's wrong. It's like, what's wrong? Rei ran behind the reception counter and picked up the phone.
タク、休館よ。五十嵐君が連れてきたんだけど意識がないみたい。ええ。それじゃあ連れて行くわ。
Alright. He set the phone down, then looked at Igarashi.
第二処置室へ運びましょう。私は先に行って準備をするから。トアは五十
You're
嵐
gonna
君を
have
手伝ってあげ
Towa,
て。
the paperboy flame? Towa. Okay, sorry. With that, he sped off and disappeared down the hall. We're getting spicy, y'all. I rose to my feet, moved around to the patient's opposite side, and slung his arm over my
Towa-san.
shoulders.
すみません。
It's okay.
いいから行くぞ。
Yeah, yeah. And so Igarashi and I slowly made our way to the elevator. When we entered the secondary medical ward, we found the critical patient all patched up and preparing to leave. We carried the unconscious man to an empty bed and laid him down on his back. His eyes were open, but he wasn't looking at anything. His complexion was as pallid as a mannequin. Drool trickled from the corners of his mouth. What is his name? Taku stormed over, his expression hard.
です。
岡本さん、聞こえますか？岡本さん。
Man didn't respond even when Taku spoke directly into his ear. No use. How'd he get like this?
それが俺もよくわからなくて、いきなり大声で叫びながら暴れ出して、その後バタッと倒れたんす。
詳しく見てみないとわからないが、おそらく薬だろうな。
I mean, what else could it be? What else could it be?
薬。
A shocked pain grimace rose up on Igarashi's face.
何か心当たりがあるのか？
いえ、ただ新しい薬が流れてるって話は聞いたことがあるんで、まさかと。
That's true, that's true. Remember the foreshadowing.
新しい薬？
はい。もともと新興海はうちの組が許可してる薬以外の売買はダメってことになってるじゃないですか。でも個人でネットとかで買ってるやつがやっぱりいるんすよね。
True, true. The internet is powerful.
俺もそういう連中はたまに見かけるんですけど、組のやつでここまでの状態になってるのは初めて見ました。
Murmuring, Taku furrowed his brow. Oh, come on, Okamoto. Just then, Okamoto started groaning and shaking his head. His eyes were still unfocused, but he was trying to move his shaking hands. Taku crouched down and spoke to him.
岡本さん、聞こえますか？聞こえたら返事をしてください。
幽霊が。
Ghost.
幽霊、助けてくれ。
Ooh. It ain't looking too hot for Okamoto. Okamoto closed his eyes and went limp. Apparently, he'd passed out. Taku shot a confused look over his shoulder at Igarashi.
あ、そういう噂があるんす。死んだはずの組員を見たとか見ないとか。
See.
そう。ひとまず容体が落ち着くまでは様子を見よう。五十嵐君はもう。
ありがとうございます。すみません。今朝言われたばかりなのに。
It's alright, Igarashi. You were doing your best.
患者を救うのが医者の仕事だからな。
Emotionally distraught, Igarashi bit his lip and bowed deeply.
よろしくお願いします。
Taku nodded, then looked at me and Rei.
と、岡本さんを見ていてくれないか。レイは俺と来てくれ。他の患者の様子を見る。
Sure.
わかったわ。
Alright, here we go. After Taku and Rei moved to a different bed, Igarashi looked at me hesitantly. Yes, Igarashi? His gaze darted to and fro, then he shook his head.
すみません。やっぱ大丈夫です。
Okay.
こいつのこと、よろしくお願いします。
It was obvious he wanted to say something, but instead he bit it back with a stiff smile. Then he bowed and left the room. It ain't looking hot. About an hour later, Taku, Rei, and I came downstairs to the waiting room. Taku looked utterly haggard. He rubbed the crease in his brow.
タク、大丈夫？
No, he is not.
さすがに疲れたな。
That was essentially 5 very severe emergency patients, so his voice was weak and I could see dark circles under his eyes.
本当にお疲れ様。でもやっぱりタクはすごいわ。たとえ高里組の人間であっても、怪我人や病人を絶対に見捨てないんだから。
Mood.
タクのそういうところ、本当に尊敬する。
Rei sounded like he was trying his best to cheer Taku up. But Taku grimaced like he was holding something back.
今日は本当に助かった。二人も疲れただろう。あとは俺がやるから、もういいぞ。
You sure, fam?
え？
You sure, Taku? Rei looked back at him in shock.
でも
本当に大丈夫だ。レイは帰って家でゆっくり休んでくれ。
Sus. He turned and walked off down the hall. Once his footsteps had faded, Rei looked at me in alarm.
私何か怒らせるようなこと言っちゃった？
疲れてるんだろ。
そっか。
調子は悪そうだった。
最近ずっと元気がないわよね。大丈夫かしら。
I don't know what's up with the homie. Just then, my phone buzzed in the back pocket of my pants. Simultaneously, Rei pulled out his own
あら、
phone.
H のメルマガじゃない。
It's the newsletter. Ooh. learning more. The mad rumors, the Yasu. Dr. Scandals Part 2, shady business, blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Harem of nurses. Love that. Takasaka Gumi, yeah. The instant he read the newsletter, he flew into a rage.
いくら噂だからってこれはあんまりよ。ネタなら何を書いてもいいってわけじゃないわ。
Unlike last time, this rumor was pretty harsh. Where did it come from?
抗議してやるわ。本当にもう。
Ray's like, I'm gonna beat him up. Ray started typing furiously, probably writing a strongly worded email to AG.
送信完了。
Bless his little heart.
怒りが収まらないけど帰るわ。おやすみ。
That Oyasumi was so aggressive. Good night. With a frustrated sigh, Ray shot me a quick wave, then walked off to the staff room. I left the waiting room and took the elevator to the 3rd floor. In the darkness, I pulled off my coat and lay on my back on the sofa as the TV's white light illuminated me. The sound of static was a constant in my life, and I quickly turned it out. Instead, my ears started to pick up the faint sounds from the lower floors. It sounded like Taku was doing something in the secondary medical ward. Then the sound faded, and static was all that filled the void. Suddenly, a thought occurred to me. Was Taku still struggling with something all on his own? Granted, I knew it wasn't easy to open up and talk about that kind of thing, but still. I reached out to the coffee table and grabbed a blister pack of sleeping pills. After all that running around today, for once, I actually wanted to sleep. I popped 2 pills, then grabbed the bottle of booze off the floor and washed. Not the booze. Once I returned the floor bottle to its proper place, I slowly closed my eye. This isn't gonna be good, is it? Have mercy. Slow damage. Ooh, no, no. We're back here again. Headspace, sorry. Through blurred vision, I could faintly make out swaying scarlet light. Every time it undulated, it felt like it was making a mockery of me. Just then, something blocked out the light. Ayo? The figure of a man was standing over me. I couldn't see his face, but for some reason I was relieved that he was here. Now I could finally relax a little. I always felt secure when he was around. But then the man pulled away, and a smaller figure took its place. It was a woman. Instantly my anxiety came rushing back. I could see the man moving farther and farther away. Don't go. I tried to speak, but I couldn't. The woman before me was saying something. For your sin. Ooh. Together we... The voice was too muffled and distorted for me to parse. Ooh. Confused, I began to hyperventilate. The scarlet light flashed in my eyes. Scarlet. Again and again and again. Are we sure these sleeping pills are okay? Taku's getting sussy, man. Don't go. My eye flew open and I sucked in a breath. When I realized it was all a dream, I exhaled slowly. My whole body was slick with sweat, and I was wheezing just like I ran a marathon. Just then, I sensed someone's presence directly beside me. Oh, here we are. Taku was looking at me in surprise. What was he doing here? His gaze shifted downwards. I followed it and realized that I was clutching his hand in mine. Ooh. And oh. Reflexively, I pulled away. Clearing his throat, he did the same. How long had I been holding his hand? My palm was sweaty. How did it happen?
大丈夫か
His voice was stiff, like he was fighting to ignore the awkwardness.
なんでいるんだ。
起こしに来たんだよ。そしたらお前が苦しそうにうめいてたから様子を見ようとして。それで。
He answered brusquely, frowning.
また悪夢を見たのか
Yes, Taku. Yes, he did. I repeated the word trying to recall the dream. I couldn't remember the details, but I remembered thinking, don't go. Was I chasing someone? I couldn't recall.
新しい薬が合わないか
Maybe not, Taku. True, maybe they weren't. Still, the stream felt a little different from usual. I sat up on the sofa and grabbed my cell phone off the coffee table. It was 10 a.m. The clinic was about to open. I was supposed to to work this morning. That was probably why Taku came to wait.
少し休んでから降りてこい
いや、
It's
鏡を
fine.
見てみろそんな顔で患者さんの前に出たら逆に心配されちまうぞ
He pressed lightly against my arm to stop me, then straightened up.
代わりに誰か入れないか聞いてみるが例も来てるからななんとかなるだろう
He said, you can lay back down. With that, he left the room. Alone, I grabbed the remote and switched on the TV. As I listened to the empty static, I lay back down on the sofa. Then I draped an arm over my eyes and exhaled. I was still drowsy, possibly a residual effect of the sleeping pills. Ooh, girl. I drifted in and out of consciousness. I heard a light knock at the door. I lowered my arm and looked in the direction of the entrance. It was Taku. He had only just left. What was he doing back? And I realized what time it was. The clock was pointing to 12 p.m. Apparently, a lot of time had passed since I first laid down.
どうだ調子は
Once again, I pushed myself up into a sitting position. My head was still a little heavy, but I didn't feel as terrible as before.
だいぶいい。
そうか午後は出られそうかヘルプで入ってくれてる純子があと1時間くらいしかいられないらしくてな
出るよ。
それじゃ
I'll be there.
ゆっくりでいいから降りてきてくれ
I'll see you when I see you. He was trying to be considerate. I could sense his impatience from the way he rushed out of the room. Well, at least he was acting like his usual self, no sign of troubles on his mind. I rose to my feet and walked to the fridge. Then I pulled out a cold bottle of sake and took a swig. I was hoping a stiff drink might wake me up, and sure enough, my mind cleared up a bit. Flash of scarlet light flickered in my mind. I knew it was a residual image from my nightmare, but it vanished before I could fully perceive it. What was causing me to have these recurring nightmares? Sleeping pills were just a catalyst. Was there some kind of trauma buried in my forgotten past? You're telling me I have scars on the outside and inside? Great. What a joke. Scoffing at myself, I got ready for work, then headed downstairs. Well, he does have amnesia. So he was definitely missing a few things, you know? Time flew by, and the next thing I knew, it was 4 p.m. Rei came walking down the hallway carrying medical supplies in both hands. He stopped next to the reception counter and leaned in my direction.
ねえ、ちょっと気になったんだけど、診察室すっごく汚くなかった？
No. I ruminated on it for a moment. I did vaguely remember the exam room always having a bit of clutter, so it didn't seem like a big deal.
いつものことだろ。
違うわよ。 いつもよりだいぶ汚いって言ってるの。
You're wrong.
タクが全然整理してないからなんだけど、トアの部屋の掃除と洗濯はちゃんとやってるんでしょ？
あ
タクって自分のことはどうでもいいけど、人のことは気になる
Oh,
タ
and
イプなのか
another
しら。
thing.
前からタクが昼休みに出かけてるって知ってた？
昼飯で外出してるんだろ。
それが違うのよ。昨日ほなみが言ってたの。昼によく繁華街の方でタクを見かけるって。
Nami was a good friend of Rei's. When they weren't working at Roost, they sometimes came in to work a shift at the clinic. Junko was another one of our on-call nurses who worked at Roost.
だから昼飯だろ。
He's just getting lunch.
でもタクってお昼は診察室で仕事しながら食べるか、私たちと外食するか、トアの部屋で食べるかのどれかが多いじゃない？
He's right.
でね、最近は仕事しながら食べるからって断られることが多いの。
He's right.
だからほなみの話を聞いたとき、私びっくりしちゃって。
He's right. No. Perplexed, Rei tilted his head.
本人に直接聞いたらどうだ。
私もそうしようと思ったんだけど、最近のタクってちょっ
No
と
offense.
話しかけづらいのよね。ピリピリしてるっていうか、そんな感じしない？
I do know. I do know. That I could understand. Rei was probably sensing that something was off about him, same as me.
あとね、これはただの勘違いっていうか思い過ごしかもしれないんだけど。
Ayo? He glanced around, struggling to find his words, then whispered even more quietly.
この間五十嵐くんが連れてきた患者さんいたでしょ？薬物中毒の。あの人どうなったか知ってる？他の病院に移されたとか。
Well, Rei.
いや、
No. I hadn't heard anything of the sort.
やっぱりそうよね。あの患者、気がついたらいなくなってたのよ。
Oh boy.
タクの判断で帰らせたのかもしれないけど、でも全く姿を見なかったから気になっちゃって。
I'm sussy. He gazed at me imploringly.
実はね、前にも何回かこういうことがあって、でも
Oh,
気のせいだと
boy,
思ってたの。
oh boy.
それこそタクが帰らせたんだろうって思ってて、今回はタクがちょっと変だってこともあって前みたいには思えなくて、タクにもそれとなく聞いてみたんだけど、はぐらかされちゃったの。
Ooh, it ain't looking hot for a man's. It ain't looking hot for a man's here. He looked away and sighed.
こういう時って何かが起こりそうで嫌だわ。風向きが悪いっていうのかしら。取り越し苦労で終わってくれればいいんだけど。
He let out another sigh, then walked off down the hall. Clearly, had picked up on the fact that Taku was hiding something, but Rei found himself unable to ask about it. He could tell Taku didn't want him to. But Taku wasn't the type to lie. Once the secret got too big to hide, would he finally come clean? With that thought, I called the next patient up to pay their bill. Getting drier and drier. In the winter, the sun was always quick to set. As night fell, we received more and more patients, particularly those in less scrupulous professions. As the end of my shift was approaching, an uncommon visitor walked in. It is he! It is he! He was wearing a suit and glasses, with his hair slicked back and a heavy leather briefcase in hand. He didn't look like a gangster, nor did he appear to work at a host club. Upon entering the waiting room, he stopped short and looked around. His gaze was calm and calculating, like he was sizing the place up. Since he was so different from the rest of our clientele, the patients all looked at him with suspicion.
診察でしょうか?
I don't think you should be asking him that, Towa. He gonna ask what kind of appointment. Like a doctor's visit or a euphoria visit? I'm terrible. Only then did he finally seem to notice I existed. He walked to the counter.
失礼。こういうものです。
That's him, baby. Attorney. Oh boy. He pulled a small case from the inner pocket of his blazer and gave me one of the business cards from inside. Fujieda Law Office. Fujieda Ryo, attorney at law. I didn't think he was an attorney. Oh boy. I looked up and scrutinized his face. Just then, a memory flashed through my mind. New Year! Where had I seen this man before? Tono. Oh, that's right. It was with Tono at the shrine on New Year's Day. He is fine. Sorry, I just had to just had to put that out there. His composure was flawless back then, too.
弁護士さんが何か?
My quiet question evoked a polite smile from this Fujieda.
村瀬さんにお会いしたいのですが。
Oh no. No, you don't. No, you don't.
診察中です。
No, you don't.
話はすぐに終わります。なので、診察の合間にでもお会いできれば。
Oh no.
待ってる患者がいるんで。
10分もかかりません。
Her. Well, his manner of speech was nothing but polite. His tone was insistent. Apparently, he refused to take no for an answer. With an exaggerated sigh, I picked up the phone and dialed the extension for the exam room.
はい。
弁護士が来てるんだけど。
Mosh. I've got a lawyer here.
藤枝さん。
今、診察中だ。日を改めてほしいと伝えてくれ。
話はすぐ終わるから、診察の合間にでも、だと。
Ooh. Taku let out a sigh of resignation.
診察が終わったら連絡する。
He must have sensed that the lawyer had no intention of backing down. I set the phone back in its cradle, then looked back at Fujieda, smiling faintly.
それで、要件は何でしょう。患者さんを待たせているので、手短にお願いします。
Before the next appointment, Taku brought Fujieda into the exam room. He asked me to tag along, so I stood next to Rei, who was already present in the room. Neither Fujieda nor Taku bothered to sit. They stood face to face in the cramped room.
まあ、何の要件で来たのかは、私よりも村瀬さんの方がよくわかってらっしゃると思いますが、私が来たのはプレッシャーをかけに来たと。
Into what?
そう思っていただいても構いません。
Into what?
とにかく、遠野氏はあなたが仕事をきっちりと果たしてくれさえすれば、負債の軽減を約束するとおっしゃっています。
Reduce his debt. Rei and I exchanged a dubious look. Evidently, he didn't know what was going on either.
組長が亡くなり、おまけに襲撃までされて、高里組は踏んだり蹴ったりな状況です。が、それとこれとは話が別だ。
Using his middle finger to slide his glasses back up the bridge of his nose.
幸いなことに、遠野氏も怪我一つなく無事でしたので。
His lips twisted in a cruel smirk as he spoke suggestively.
それでは
色良い返事をお待ちしておりますよ。お仕事の邪魔をするのは心苦しいので。
Oh yeah, this dude's
そろそろ失礼します。
this dude's kind of my type. This is gonna be a problem. He pulled a white A4-sized envelope from his leather briefcase and set it on Taku's desk. With a smile that didn't reach his eyes, he inclined his head. Then he returned on his heel and gallantly strode out of the room. Struggling to process what just happened, Rei and I stared at Taku, who gazed at the floor with his jaw clenched.
今の弁護士なんでしょ？でもなんで負債って
Oh, Taku got debt, alright. Rei spluttered in confusion, but Taku remained silent.
高里組に借金があるのか？
He absolutely does. Okay, well, that was something that I was... That isn't too out of whack, you know. At this, Taku closed his eyes, which is more than enough affirmation for me. Fujieda made it sound like Tono would lower the amount Taku owed in exchange for something else. If Tono was in charge of his debt, then the Takasato Gumi had to be involved. Quietly, Taku forced the word out from the back of his throat.
それってじゃあタクもウェブタグを体内に埋められてるっていうの？
ああ、完済するまで新公民からは出られない。
そんな。
Shocked, Rei covered his mouth with both hands.
借金返済の当てはあるのか？
For a moment, Taku's gaze faltered in hesitation, but then he nodded
大
slightly.
丈夫だ。
仕事っていうのは遠野に何かを頼まれてるのか？
それは詳しくは言えない。
やばい仕事じゃないわよね。
They're gangsters, honey. I don't.
心配するな。
He smiled
この
stiffly.
クリニックに影響が出るようなことはないし、もちろんお前たちにも迷惑はか
That's
け
what
な
he
い。
says, but you know.
必ず何とかする。
He spoke gently as if to reassure us. But to me, that only made it more obvious that he was trying to gloss over something. I looked over at the white envelope Fujieda had left on Taku's desk. It was stamped with Fujieda Law Office on the front. Taku noticed my gaze and snatched the envelope like he was trying to hide it.
それじゃ診察を再開しよう。
With a heavy sigh, he changed the subject. Rei clearly had more he wanted to say, but since Taku was having none of it, he reluctantly left. Now I was confident beyond a doubt that Taku was at max capacity. He said he'd figure something out. After Fujieda left, his smoke was swaying all over the place. But if he had no intention of coming clean, then all we could do was watch and wait. I snuck a glance at his face and profile as he headed to his desk. Then I left the exam room and returned to the reception counter. Fascinating. Fascinating. After work, I was sitting on the sofa having a stiff drink when my phone started buzzing on the coffee table. It was a call from an unknown number. Asakura? Sorry. Oh? His voice was unusually panicked. Oh? Oh, this can't be good.
榊？
This can't be good. This is never good. Then he hung up on me. It sounded like Sakaki was stuck dealing with some kind of crisis. Normally, I wouldn't go out of my way to stick my nose in it, but if he was asking for me, I didn't really have a choice. So I pulled on my coat and headed out. Oh gosh, here we go. Oh no. At the Takasato office, one of the goons escorted me to Sakaki's study at the far end of the hall. I'm afraid. Sakaki was sitting at his desk with a conflicted look on his face. Eiji sat on the couch nearby, playing with his cell phone. Sakaki's usual warmth was gone, replaced with stern eyes beneath a furrowed brow.
トワさん、急にすみません。ありがとうございます。
Oh boy. Contrary to when we spoke over the phone, Eiji was back to his usually unruffled self.
最近トーノの動きが露骨でな。敵意を隠す気もなくなったみてえだよ。少しでも気抜いたら危ねってんで、お前に来てもらうことにしたんだ。
This office look I just wanted to say it's like the interior decorating of this office. Have mercy.
何かあったのか？
Sakaki gave a weak shake of his head.
いやまだだ。だがこれから起こるだろうな。
He leaned forward, his eyes glinting intently.
実はな、村瀬先生がトーノに脅されてるらしいんだ。
Yes. Okay, well that's also
脅さ
not
れてる。
surprising.
以前からつながりはあったようですが、最近は特に何か手伝うように強制されてるみたいですね。
借金のことじゃないのか？
聞いたのか？
I do not know about that.
タクが金を借りたのは高里組なのか？それともトーノ個人か？
組から借りてる。俺が管理してるから間違いねえ。ただ組名義でトーノが勝手にどうこうしてるってんなら話は変わる。村瀬先生はどうもトーノの言いなりになってるってなってよ。
Oh boy.
前に先生と話そうとしたんだが白を切られちまった。話したくなかったみてえでよ。
Yeah, we could tell.
その見えねえ部分が脅しとつながってるのかもしれねえな。当然お前もトーノに監視されてるんだ。
I mean, what's new?
いや
No.
場合によっちゃお前に手を出してくる可能性もある。
That is very true.
正直なところお前をこっち側で保護しちまいたいんだがそういうのは嫌だよな。
I mean, I don't know if that's a good idea. Frowning, he shot me a probing look. I nodded. He sighed like he'd seen it coming.
まあお前はそう言うだろうと思ってたよ。だから保護とは言わねえが代わりにこっちからもお前に監視をつけてんだ。普段のお前を邪魔するようなことはない。万が一ってことがあるからな。念には念後ってことだ。ちなみに
By the way, he paused, narrowing his eyes
悪いんだ
sharply.
がこの話は強制だ。こればっかりはいくらお前が嫌がっても引き下がるつもりはねえ。
Oh boy. In other words, he was gonna spy on me no matter what. As much as I wanted to avoid it, I could feel Sakaki's stubborn insistence. I sighed quietly.
わかった。
Fine.
それからこれはできる範囲で構わねえんだがしばらくは
We're
先
trying, man.
生を注意
It's
して
rough.
見ておいて。
It's rough out here in the club, okay?
タクを。
ああ先生の動向でト
that's
ーノ
true,
が何や
that's
ってるかわかるかもしれねえからな。
Man, this is sussy.
もしトーノの悪巧みに先生が乗せられちまってるようならこっちも見過ごすわけにいかなくなる。そうなるのは俺としても不本意だ。だからもしお前が見ていて手を
We're
貸
gonna
せるような
try.
ことがあ
We're
ったら
gonna try.
差し伸べてやってくれ。
We're gonna try.
まあ先生には興味がねえって言うなら何もしなくていい。ただし先生がどうなるかはわからねえ。
On the surface, he phrased everything like a request, but I didn't have the option of saying no. The threat was implied.
わかった。
Scowling, I nodded. Then Eiji sprang to his feet like that was his cue.
トワさん、これ。
Oh, what we taking? He walked over and handed me something. 2 battery-shaped devices plus 2 earpieces.
GPS と録音機能付きの盗聴器です。音声を感知して起動します。
Ooh.
携帯電話はバッテリーごと取り替えちゃってください。こっちは見ての通りのイヤホンです。
AJ explained each item as he pressed them into my hands. Now I understood. They wanted me to spy on Taku's phone calls.
後で URL を送るので、アプリを携帯電話にダウンロードしてください。ウェブタグを追跡して位置情報を表示するアプリです。
Oh boy.
ウェブタグ。
村瀬先生は不採者なので、ウェブタグが埋め込まれてるんですよ。って言っても、ウェブタグの追跡は組でしかできないようになってるんで、このアプリは特別製です。あとは、マイクが音声を拾うと通知が届きます。
He was so gleeful, he sounded like a kid in a toy store.
村瀬先生が遠野さんから何を頼まれてるのか分かったら、榊さんに連絡してください。僕でもいいです。
Yeah, I want to know. With a nod, I stuffed the gear into my coat pocket. Oh boy. Right as I left the office, I got an email from AJ with a URL attached. As I started the download, I thought about Taku. As far as I knew, Taku and Tono had no established friendly relationship. In which case, chances were high that Tono was using the threat of something other than money, some kind of dirt, to make Taku do his bidding. And if Tono really was blackmailing him, maybe it was connected to all the phone calls and the studying Rei was concerned about. Either way, Taku's connection to Tono had gotten him dragged into something. I would have to solve Taku's issues so Sakaki and Tono could duke it out by themselves. I wasn't really looking forward to dealing with this, especially bugging his phone. Whatever. All I have to do is get Sakaki the info he's looking for, and then it's over. I looked down at the new icon on my phone screen. Then with a frustrated sigh, I walked off into the night. Slow damage. I don't... Back at the clinic, I walked into the waiting room. The sounds of an argument echoed out from the other end of the hall. I walked past the waiting room and down the hallway. The voices were coming from the exam room. Specifically, it was Rei and Taku. I couldn't tell what they were fighting over, but they both sounded hostile. When I opened the door, they both went quiet. And they rounded on me in perfect unison.
あらとは、お帰りなさい。
Oh?
おかえり。
喧嘩か？
Y'all okay? Y'all doing okay? Rei let out a heavy sigh.
喧嘩っていうか、ちょっと私がカチンときて、一方的に怒っちゃっただけよ。
That's what you say, but... Okay.
タクが何かしたのか？
Did he? He shot a sidelong glare at Taku.
今日ね、タクがすっごく上の空で、患者さんに対する反応も適当な感じがしたの。あんまり話を聞いてないっていうか。そのうちちゃんとするかなと思って黙ってたんだけど、患者さんを突き放すようなことを言い出したから、私もうカーッときちゃって。
疲れてたんだよ。悪いと思ってる。
At this rate, Rei's expression twisted in fury.
私じゃなくて患者さんに謝ってよ。今日来た人全員によ。
He's right.
俺だって常に万全なわけじゃない。
だったら休んだ方が良かったわ。本当にもう。頑張るのはいいけど、無理しすぎて仕事に影響が出ちゃうなんて本末転倒じゃない。
You tell him.
っていうかこの際だから聞くけど、タク、私たちに何か隠してるわよね。昼休みも休憩せずにどこへ行ってるの？借金を返すため？
Oh boy. He went there. Taku's expression hardened.
ねえタク、私たちじゃ力になれないの？
Probably not.
悪いが、その話はしたくない。
タク！
Oh boy. Rei's pleading tone shifted into a defeated sigh as he closed his
帰っ
eyes.
てきて早々悪いな。
いや、
It's fine.
あとはやってお
It's
くか。
not.
もう帰っていいぞ。
With that, he left the exam room. Rei stared at the door, his expression one of mingled rage and sadness. If Sakaki and Eiji were right, and Taku was involved with Tono, then no amount of needling him would get him to spill the beans. Rei had no way of learning the truth other than asking Taku directly. It didn't help that Taku was so god-awful at hiding things. No wonder Rei was furious. Just then, a thought occurred to me. What if I told Rei what I knew? Sakaki never said I had to keep my mouth shut. Besides, if we pooled our resources, the two of us could get this problem solved a lot faster. With that, I looked over at him.
タクのことで話がある。
話？何？
He looked up and over at me, puzzled. So I gave him a brief rundown of what I'd heard from Sakaki. The blood drained from Rei's face and his lips trembled.
やっぱりそうだったのね。
まだそうと決まったわけじゃない。疑いがあるだけだ。
でも、もしそれが本当の話なら、タクを助けなきゃ。タクは絶対トーノに脅されてるのよ。だから逆らえないんだわ。もしかしたら、消えちゃった患者さんもトーノのせいで。
Not like this.
その可能性は高いな。
何よ、ずいぶん人事っぽいよね。タクのことが心配じゃないの？
お前こそさっきまでタクに怒ってたんじゃないのか。
I thought you were mad.
怒ってるわよ。でもそれは心配だから怒ってるの。タクが困ってるならもちろん助けるわ。
Bless his little heart.
困ってるならな。
含みのある言い方ね。ねえとは小さい頃からタクに見てもらってるのにちょっと薄情すぎるんじゃない？
それとこれとは別だ。まだ確かなことは何も分かってないからな。探るしかない。
まあ、それはそうね。
I pulled out Eiji's listening devices and held them out for him to see.
何これ？
盗聴器。
え？
Rei's expression shifted in
これを
alarm.
タクに？
俺もこういうやり方は好きじゃない。が、手っ取り早いのは間違いない。
It's true.
それはそうかもしれないけど、でもこういうのって。
You're just gonna have to join the club.
トーノに正面から聞きに行くか。
Exactly. You wanna go ask him or not?
無理よ。
What you
そんな
want,
の。
you know?
って悩んでる間に時間が消費されるな。
これどうするの？
電話のバッテリーと付け替える。タクの携帯電話と、あとは診察室にある呼気がいい。
なるほどね。
He nodded, still frowning.
診察室の電話は今やればいいけど、携帯電話は難しいんじゃない？
あいつ携帯を持ち歩かない時もあるだろう。どこかに置き忘れてることが多い。
まあそうね。電話する時しか使わないからって言ってその辺に放り出してるのをよく見るもの。ってもしかして今日も
It's in here somewhere. He looked over at Taku's desk and his jaw dropped.
やだ、あったわ。
Oh boy. Sure enough, Taku's cell phone was sitting atop a stack of documents. He was so tired he must have forgotten to take it with him when he left the room. I grabbed it. I grabbed it and popped the cover off, then switched on the listening device, swapped it into the battery slot, and replaced the cover. Meanwhile, Rei did the same thing with the landline phone on the corner of the desk.
これでよしと。さあ、タクが戻ってくる前に出ましょう。
Together we left the exam room.
なんだかすごく悪いことしてる気分。
Calm down, Rei. Calm your little self. With a heavy sigh, he rubbed his arms with both hands.
ねえ、あれってどうやって聞くのかしら？録音？
専用のアプリがあって音声を感知すると通知が来るらしい。それをこいつで聞く。
I pulled the earpieces out of my pocket and gave them a little shake.
貸して。
He took one and held it up to his ear.
何か聞こえるか？
でもマイクが音を拾ってるのはわかるような気がするわ。
We spiffy up in here. He pulled the earpiece out and handed it back.
録音機能もあるらしい。
Ooh,
つくづく高里組っていうか、エイジって怖いわよね。
Just agey.
情報もたくさん持ってるし、頼めば違法のものでも何でも用意できるんじゃないかしら、あの子。
Absolutely. He is a gangster. Just then, his eyes widened, and he looked at me.
ねえ、タクが戻ってくるまで、あんたの部屋にいていいかしら。タクが一人になったら何かアクションを起こすんじゃないかと思って。もちろん何もないならそれでいいんだけど。
This was actually a pretty decent suggestion. Instead of hovering over him, it made more sense to give him a false sense of security. We exchanged a firm nod.
それじゃ3階へ行きましょう。
Ooh, we're spies now, James Bond style, 007. And so Rei and I waited in my room for Taku to return. I checked the earpiece several times, but couldn't hear anything of note. And after about 10 minutes, I faintly heard the sound of the clinic doors opening. Rei fixed me with a tense look as he sat in the chair opposite of the sofa.
帰ってきた。
He hissed under his breath, his brow
こんな
furrowed.
ことするなんて本当に嫌な気分。
I hate doing this. No, you're a liar. You're a
タ
liar.
ク
You
が
wrote
何も言
this.
わないから仕方がないのよね。
You really do leave us no choice, though. It sounded like he was struggling to talk himself into it. He bit his lip. Before I could respond, however, there was another noise downstairs, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was. Ayo. I pressed a finger to the earpiece, trying to focus my attention on the faintest of sounds. It was coming from the bug in Taku's cell phone. Ayo. Clack, clack, clack. I realized he was probably switching the lights off on the first floor. Then I heard slow footsteps traveling down the hall. Was he headed home for the night? Then I heard a truly inexplicable noise. The footsteps stopped, replaced by the sound of a door opening. Next, I heard what sounded like metal clacking together, followed by another door opening. Did he leave the building? I didn't recognize the sounds at all.
どう？
Rei noticed my silence and shot me a funny look. I took out my phone and opened the tracker app. Taku's signal was still coming from the clinic. He hadn't
様
left.
子を見に行くぞ。
え、急にどうしたの？
I didn't have time to explain. I rose to my feet. Rei hastily followed after me. We walked out of my apartment, then took the stairs down to the first floor. The waiting room was silent, dark, and devoid of human life. With the emergency lights as our only guide, we walked to the exam room. I peeked inside but couldn't hear anything.
帰ったのかしら。
No. I spoke into hushed tones and I showed Rei the map on my
移
phone.
動してない。
え？じゃあまだクリニックのどこかにいるってこと？
多分。
I think so.
でもタクはいないみたいだし、
Oh, it's
もしかした
working
ら
alright,
そ
honey.
れ壊れてるんじゃないの？
If so, then this was a
ちゃんと動いてる？
huge waste of time. With that thought, I
エイ
exhaled.
ジには連絡しておく。
そうした方がいいわ。はあ、なんだか拍子抜けしちゃった。
Rei shrugged, smiling wryly.
でもこういうのも変だけど、少しだけほっとしたわ。死刑の執行が伸びたような気分。
There's probably something up
こ
in the
の
clip.
まま何もないといいんだけどね。
I don't know about that, honey. After that quiet addition, he looked at me.
あたし、今日はもう帰るわね。トワもちゃんと休むのよ。
ああ。
なんだか大変なことになっちゃったけど。それじゃ、おやすみ。
It's getting sussy in here, bro. With a weary smile, he headed for the front entrance. Left behind in the silence, I started feeling restless. I couldn't stand the quiet, but right as I was about to go back to my apartment, I heard a faint sound, and it wasn't coming from the earpieces. It sounded like something was being moved, and it was still going. Slowly I started walking, focusing my attention in the direction of the sound. At the very end of the hall was a narrow door unlike all the others. I never set foot inside, but was told it was a storage room for important documents. The sound seemed to be coming from inside. I stood in front of the storage room door and listened. Sure enough, the sound was coming from inside. Holding my breath, I reached out and slowly twisted the knob. It opened. I peeked in through the tiny gap. It was dark inside, but I could see the silhouette of tall shelves all lined up. I opened the door wider and walked in, leaving it open behind me so the emergency lights could help illuminate my path. As I passed between the shelves, I saw another door on the opposite side of the room. It had been left ajar, and light streamed out from the other side. I could hear more muffled sounds too. But right as I started to approach the far door, my phone buzzed in my hand. It looked at the screen. Apparently Taku had just started a phone call. I pulled out the earpieces and put them in my ears. Ooh, girl.
今日そっちの人間をよこしたか。どういう意味だ。地下の鍵が開いてた。
Oh.
誰かが入ったってことか。
ああ。
俺は指示を出してないし、うちの連中には用がなければ行くなとも言ってる。
そんなはずはないんだが。
何かがなくなってるとか、そういうわけじゃない。だったらひとまずは問題ない。落ち着く。
Ooh. The stress is happening. I could hear Taku's voice in stereo, both through the earpiece and from the other side of the door. The bugs weren't glitched. Taku was right here at the clinic. Ooh, girl. Beyond the door, I could see stairs leading down. This was probably what he had referred to as the basement. Did the other employees know that the storage room had a basement? Because I was fairly sure Rei didn't, at the very least. Furthermore, I recognized Tono's voice on the other end of the line. Was Sakaki right about them working together?
ところで今日、トワが榊に会いに行ったらしい。
それで。
あいつは榊のお気に入りだ。使い道があるんじゃないかと思ってな。トワには常に見張りをつけて、こちらで動きを把握している。場合によっちゃ使わせてもらうかもしれないことだ。何？お前が仕事をきっちりこなせば問題ない。
Oh no!
例の件まで時間がない。絶対に間に合わせろ。
The call ended and the phone line began to beep. Taku cursed and I heard him fling something at the floor. Then the earpiece went quiet, so I pulled it out. Careful not to make a sound, I crept out of the storage room, quietly closed the door behind me, then headed for the stairs. As I walked, my mind replayed the conversation between Taku and Tono. Sakaki was right about all of it. Taku and Tono were connected, and Tono had his goons watching me. But from the way Taku spoke, it didn't sound like he and Tono were very buddy-buddy. Clearly, Tono was forcing him into it somehow. Was it the debt? What did Tono mean by you-know-what is coming up soon? Whatever it was, he was using it to pressure Taku. Why did Taku feel the need to keep the basement a secret? What was he doing down there? Arriving back at my apartment on the 3rd floor, I flopped down on my back on the sofa. My name had come up in the conversation. Tono said he might have a use for me. I was already more involved than I wanted to be, thanks to Sakaki's perfect foresight. All of them. Not in that way. As I looked up at the ceiling, I mulled it over. Man, it's getting spicy up in here. Unwilling to take more sleeping pills, I spent the night lying awake instead. I could tell morning arrived from the way it lit up the closed blinds in the window. Slowly I sat up. I didn't have a headache this time, but my body felt like lead. Hoping to clear the fog from my mind, I lit a cigarette. After a long drag and exhale, there came a knock at the door.
起きてる?
It was Rei. I grabbed my phone off the coffee table and checked the time. 9 a.m. Still plenty of time before my shift. At my response, he timidly entered the room. Last night, while I was utterly unable to sleep, I had called Rei and told him everything I'd overheard between Taku and Tono. When I told him Taku didn't sound like an enthusiastic participant, Rei started raging about how it was proof that Tono was blackmailing him. At that point, I found myself hesitant to tell him about the secret basement or that my name had come up. He was already struggling to process all this new, less-than-fun information about Taku. If I kept piling more and more onto him, he might blow a gasket and go storming off to confront Taku directly. Today, however, he seemed a lot calmer. The look on his face suggested there was a lot on his mind.
昨日の夜、トアから電話をもらった後、少し冷静になって考えてみたの。タクに対していろいろと思うことや言いたいことはたくさんあるけど、
That's not the move, honey. That's not the move, though.
タクが本当にトーノに脅されてるんだとしたら、私たちも慎重に動かなきゃいけないって。向こうは高里組だもの。目障りになったら何をしでかすか。だからどうしたらいいのかは全然わからないけど考えなきゃって。
He paused, taking a deep breath.
とりあえず今日は普通にタクを手伝うわ。でももしまた何か分かったら教えて。
It's the best thing you can do, Rei. It's the best thing you can do. That's the best spy work. I nodded. A small relief smile crept up on his face and he left the room. After he was gone, I switched on the TV and let the static fill the void. Then I sat on the sofa and had a smoke. What bugged me most was the basement. I hadn't explored it yet, but the memory of the light seeping in through the cracks was burned into my eyelids. What exactly was down there? At the very least, it was one of the secrets tying Taku and Tono together. I narrowed my eye and exhaled white cigarette smoke. While I was concerned about Taku, there was no point in staying in my apartment for hours on end. I crushed my cigarette in the ashtray, rose to my feet, and pulled on my coat. Ooh, let's go. Okay. Ooh, that was rough. Oh boy. Okay. Well. No business, no business. Hit stop. Okay. No business, no business, no business. Okay, so Seaside Park, Tajima, yeah, Rose shop. Oh, is that the? Oh, yeah. Okay, so Yanagawa, Rose, Seaside Park. Okay, and then Tajima. Okay, let's take a look. Ski. Woo woo. Okay, I need information. Yeah. All right. Who's here? Hey, it's Aremura, ya boy. Why are you sitting next to me? This is my usual seat. You would. You just happen to be sitting next to it. Come to think of it, you do sit there a lot. Very well. Next time I'll have to remember to sit somewhere else. Yes, please do. Oh, work. Hey, Towa-san? Lately, has Dr. Murase been acting strangely in your opinion? Strange? In what way? Well, let's see. He seems prickly at all hours of the day. I thought perhaps you might know what's going on, so I forced myself to ask you. Mood. Let's go, baby. Yeah.
Negative.
Taku tends to ball up his stress for sure. Yes, that's just the sort of man he is. Lately he appears to be deeply exhausted. Makes me think maybe something's going on with him. Ooh, yeah. But if you haven't heard anything, then I guess I'll never know. Apologize for the sudden question. Well then, now that I finished my meal, I'll be going back to the clinic. Feel free to take your time. Cool. I can't believe I accidentally sat next to your regular spot. What a blunder. Okay. On. Okay, let me, yes, okay. We're gonna save. Just in case I run into another one of those, fun endings. I can't believe I ran into that ending, though. Yes. Okay. Alright. Let's move. Yanagawa shopping district. Yeah, let's make the pick. Let's go. Oh boy. I thought I felt something watching me from somewhere. Maybe it was all in my head.
Towa.
Yo.
Who are you? Who? Hey, Arata.
どうしたの?
Yeah.
I don't remember this person. Have I met them before? No words in particular, just walking. Gotcha. I tend to think of you as a night owl, so it's kind of weird seeing you out and about during the day. I'm hardly a vampire. These days, the city feels so tense. It's uncomfortable. For sure. Towa, have you ever felt the urge to leave Shinkomi? I mean, honestly...
Positive.
Yeah...
Nine.
No. Gotcha.
そろそろ行くね.
Sorry to hold you up. I'm gonna go now. Cool. Okay.
そういえば.
Alright. Actually, wait a second. I'm gonna test something. We're just having a good time right now, okay? Shopping district. Okay, I'm gonna see if I get anything from him or if it's just, it doesn't matter. Like, I just want to test something. Okay. So, Arata. Okay. Talk.
どうしたの?
Yeah.
Okay.
そうだな.
Okay. Let's answer this way.
Negative.
And let's see. You really think a guy like me could hack it on the mainland? With your lifestyle, yeah, you're probably better off staying here. Every now and then I find myself wondering if I should move away. But when I'm with Rei and Junko and Honami, I have so much fun. I don't think I can bear to leave. Ah, okay, so Arata is part of the homies. Okay. So I guess that's the answer. Ah, okay, yes, okay. I see. So if I answer correctly, I get all the information. Okay, probably so. If you honestly don't like it here, you're free to leave. Yeah, Shinkomi's dangerous in a lot of ways, but I guess I don't hate it that much. Not enough to
そろ
leave.
そろ行くね.
Sorry to hold you up. I'm gonna go now. Cool. Okay. Sweet.
そういえば.
Alright. So let's go. Oh. Eeh. Okay, good to know. Save. Save. Okay. This has been an experience. Okay, let's move to Rose, because Rose, Imoto, Tajima, and then Seaside Park. Unless one of these is... Okay. I think Seaside Park is probably the end of exploration, right? I mean, that would make sense. Junko? Junko? Oh, Towa! Oh my god! You know, you hardly ever talk to me. I'm so flattered. Well, I saw you squatting out in front of the flower shop, so... Wait, so you don't just ignore me wherever you see me? Aw, that's so sweet! Let's talk. I need info. What's up? This is a flower shop, so I take it you're here to buy flowers, too?
Yeah.
Nah, I was just passing by. So we bumped into each other purely by chance. I'm here to buy flowers for someone I really care about. Say, Towa, what flowers do you think would be good?
Negative.
Okay. If I choose that it will be a gift from you anymore. Oh my, you're totally right, completely. Anyway, gotta go buy these flowers later. Oh, pain. Okay, hold on. Hold on. I want to see if this is true for everybody. Okay, we're experimenting today. We're experimenting today, y'all. Okay.
特には
Okay. Let us move. Okay, we're gonna answer positively this time.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's choose and we'll see if I get some. If not, then we'll just keep going. How about these blue ones? Those are cute. You know, I was actually looking at those. Great minds think alike. To tell you the truth, I kinda had a fight with this person, so we haven't spoken in a while. I had to guess, neither of us probably care about the fight anymore, but I just don't know how to talk to them again. That's why I thought I'd send flowers as a token of my feelings. Deep down, I know I should go see them in person and spill my guts, but... Ooh, okay. I sure hope I can repair our friendship. Pray for me, Towa. Anyway, I gotta go buy these flowers later. Later. Okay. So... Okay, cool. That's good to know. Because that changes everything. That gives me more options. So... Save. Okay. Alright. To Central Park we go. Oh. I need all the help I can get. Especially with Taku. I felt a gaze again and came to a stop. Maybe Sakaki was monitoring me just out of sight. Towa, here you are. Glad I found you. Rei! Rei? Oh, bless his little heart. I went to your place, but you weren't there, so I figured you were out and about. Then when I went out for lunch, I figured I'd check the park. And sure enough, can I talk to you? Sure. Listen, I'm sorry. I just can't stop thinking about it, you know? About Taku? Yeah, I'm trying to act normal and all, but... Hey, Towa? Is there any way to cut ties with the Takasato Gumi? Yeah, let's answer gently. Maybe if you leave town. Otherwise, I doubt it. Yeah, I guess running back to the mainland is an option. I know it's impossible to get away from them completely, but... I just keep asking myself, is there really no choice but to give up? Sorry for getting a little too real there. I'm gonna go buy lunch. What about you?
Yeah.
I'll pass. Ugh, not again. I'm gonna buy you something and put it in the staff room fridge for you, so you better eat it. See you later. Bless his little heart. He's so sweet. Okay. Okay. Alright, back to business. Okay, let's move. So the next place would be Tajima? Tajima, yeah, Tajima. Alright. One more, baby, one more. Oh. Oh, my leg. Okay. Come on in. Oh, it's you. Yeah. Yes, yo.
どうしたんだい？
What's the matter? You seem a little different. How so? Something bad happened to you?
ま
I wouldn't say bad per se. But as with a lot of things, there's no point in crying about it.
どうなんだい？
Don't you have anybody you care about? It says he, but okay. Yeah,
あポジティブにないな。
not right now at least.
そうかい。
I see. Maybe you haven't found that special someone yet, but when you do,
やめな。
don't you dare run away from how you feel.
なるほど。
Let's go, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Don't hide behind the excuse that crying won't change anything. It means you need to take action, but you don't want to. You're totally right. I should have known you would understand. One look at you and it's obvious to
それ
anyone.
で？
Now then, if you're gonna buy something, make it quick. Alright then, I'll take this. That'll be 300 yen.
ああ
Keep the change.
どうも。
Come again sometime. Woohoo! Every part of my life. Okay, hold on. Actually, let's see. Okay, we should save for reroll because I think the next part is probably a story progression. Okay. All right, let's get it. Okay. Ooh, girl. This is Shinkomi Seaside Park in District B. It's a big and famous tourist attraction located at the northernmost tip of Shinkomi. During the winter holidays, it's used as an event venue, and camera crews often come here to record footage for the place with the best views, the plaza where you can enjoy the okay. Oh, hey. Oh, it's you. Yeah. Did you know that Takasaki HQ was attacked by unknown forces? Apparently they dealt a lot of damage, though the executives are all unhurt. Who was behind it? Team Sakaki or Team Tono? Or could it be the mainland? A drug dealer told me. Lately, unauthorized narcotics have been going around. Its side effects are notable. The user hallucinates that bugs are attacking, flips out, and claws at their body. Very abnormal. But everyone who's experienced it seems to disappear shortly afterward. Is something going on behind the scenes? District B, also known as Shinkomi's front entrance. But there's men in suits standing all over town. I hear spy cameras are set up everywhere too. Less crime, but still just as unsettling as the other districts. On the 19th, a group of mainland politicians are supposedly coming to Shinkomi. Is that it? Is that it? Surely they wouldn't set foot in this nightmare without good reason. Hopefully it doesn't cause any trouble, but our relationship with the mainland is liable to get worse. There are a lot of horror stories about Shinkomi hospitals. My friend's a nurse, and they told me every now and then the hospitalized patients just vanish into thin air. This would make headlines back on the mainland, but here in Shinkomi, cops refuse to investigate. So bizarre. Monster Hills is a District 3 back alley nightclub at the harbor on the coast. Have you heard of it? Lately, everybody's talking about their blowout prices. Very affordable. But people say the girls there have been acting weird, so if you want to go at your own risk. Ooh, I can always depend on a nada for the tea. Alright, let's take a move. No business, no business, no business. No business, no business. Okay. It's home time, kids. Ooh, that was a time, baby. Back at my apartment, I pulled my coat off and sank onto the sofa. Then I grabbed the floor bottle at my feet. When I remembered I had to work later, I put it back. Instead, I lit a cigarette and took a long drag. Slow damage. Alright. Man, we are bussing. Today I worked the night shift, so by the time I was done, the date has changed. I went back to my apartment and got dressed to go to roost. Right as I walked out of the elevator, however, I saw Taku walking toward me.
Towa?
His expression was a bit more stern than usual.
どこへ行くんだ?
Where are you going?
ルースト。
Roost.
部屋にいろ.
Stay home. Ooh! I bristled at his commanding tone of voice.
なんで?
What for?
前にも言っただろう。高里組が荒れてるって。
Oh.
だから。
むやみに出歩かない方がいい。
Ooh. My reaction was the same as the last time we had this conversation. Why worry about it at this stage? Now my hackles were up.
最近おかしいぞ、お前。
それは。
何かあったのか?
Yeah, you gonna tell me what's going on, Taku?
誰にも相談できないようなことなのか?
Ooh. He closed his mouth and fell silent. Once again, this man was a terrible liar.
言いたくないならそれでいい。ただし、俺もそんな奴の言葉は聞かない。
You tell him. You tell him. He averted his gaze without responding. Clearly, this conversation was over. I turned on my heel and walked out of the building. He didn't chase after me. Nor was I expecting him to. Right now, he was struggling with a secret he couldn't reveal to a single soul. He was forbidden from confessing the truth, and it was tearing him apart. Perhaps it was that straightforward, sincere side of him that Tono preyed upon. As I thought about Taku, I walked down the street in the direction of Roost until I heard the sound of an engine quietly approaching from behind. I shot a quick glance over my shoulder. A car was slowly rolling along behind me. Then it suddenly shot forward and braked directly in front of me, blocking my path. The front passenger door opened and a bespectacled man stepped out. Is this Fujieda? No, it's Tono.
元気か、Towa?
Oh boy. With both hands in his pockets, he strode over to me. I stared back at him silently. He shook his head in amusement.
少し話がしたくなってな。迎えに来たんだ。
Oh no.
乗ってくれ。
No, get out of my face. He opened the rear passenger door and gestured with one hand for me to get in. Running away never crossed my mind. Quite the opposite. This was the perfect opportunity to ask him about his relationship with Taku. Wordlessly, I climbed into the back of the car. A man in a suit, probably one of Tono's goons, was seated beside me. Instead of closing the door, Tono put a hand on the roof and peered in. As he drew his face close to mine, his condescending eyes narrowed in a sneer.
突然悪いな。
話は?
He smirked.
話というよりは、ちょっとした余興だ。
He jerked his chin in the direction of the subordinate. Suddenly, the other man grabbed my arm. He hiked my sleeve up, exposing my scarred skin.
動くな。
Oh no. I tried to yank my arm away, but the other man was stronger, and the car was too cramped for me to escape.
かっこいい腕だな。
Oh no. Tono let out a playful whistle as his lackey pulled an injection needle out of his pocket. No! He uncapped it with his teeth. Oh no, 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 no. I muttered under my breath and Tono patted the top of the car.
その通り。さすがだな。気分はどうだ?
Oh no, this can't be good.
別にやりたきゃやれよ。
そう来なくちゃな。
Oh boy. The sharp needle pierced through the thinnest skin on my arm. A prick of pain shot through me as the man plunged the needle's contents into my body. I could feel the chill of the fluid under my skin. Gradually, my pulse began to quicken and I started breathing more heavily. But no amount of deep breathing would calm my heart. Then the back of my neck started to burn, along with the tips of my fingers and toes. What is the purpose of this situation? Is Tono just like, let's just go for it. It felt like I was on fire. My heart was pounding out of control. My throat was dry. My ears were ringing. Then my vision started to blur like I was holding back tears. I could scarcely breathe. This isn't good. Before I knew it, the needle had left my arm. As I gasped for breath, I tried to look at Tono, but I was too dizzy to focus. At Tono's command, the underling opened the opposite passenger door and got out. In his absence, I crumpled over into the empty space next to me, wheezing in agony. The overwhelming heartburn made me want to vomit. Unable to withstand it, I emptied the contents of my stomach in the direction of the floor. Bro, you're the one who drugged him. An indeterminate amount of time passed, probably just a few minutes, but to me it felt like an eternity.
Towa!
I could hear Taku calling my name, but I didn't have the strength to look up. Oh boy.
お前、トワに何をした？
死にはしない。おそらくな。
Most likely.
どうしてこうなったのかは、
Hello?
お前が一番よくわかってるはず。
Taku didn't respond, but I could sense his fury.
よく考えろよ。
Tono walked back around to the front of the passenger side.
車が汚れちまったな。後で掃除しとけ。行くぞ。
The underling reached back into the car, grabbed my shoulders, and dragged me out into the pavement. Tono and his crony hopped into the car, and they sped away in a cloud of exhausted fumes.
大丈夫か？おい！
Oh, pain. I could hear Taku's voice in my ear. Faintly, I opened my eye. My vision was blurry like I was underwater, but I could feel him trying to haul me up into my feet. My fuzzy mind did its best to operate my feet.
クリニックまで歩くぞ。いいな。
Leaning against him, I slowly stumbled forward. Ooh, girl. Back at the clinic, Taku laid me down on an empty waiting room bench, then walked off down the hall. After a moment, he returned, and I felt something warm and wet press against my mouth. A washcloth. I don't know, can you? Can you? Hands shaking, I grabbed the back of the bench and slowly pulled myself into a sitting position. My body was so heavy it felt like I'd been turned to stone. If I relaxed for even a second, I'd probably slump over again.
水と洗面器を持ってきた。
I brought you some water and a wash bowl. Your mouth probably feels good. Yeah. I took the mug of water, then I sipped, gargled, and spat it back onto the wash bowl again and again.
大丈夫か？
きつい。
My honest feelings left my lips in a low mumble. While the nausea had receded, the heavy lethargy was still weighing me down. The worst of all was the heat. It was like they'd injected me with magma.
だから、外へは出るなと言っただろう。
How was he gonna know that, Taku? I looked at him.
トーノと何があった？
Taku furrowed his brow and fell silent. But before I could press him further, all of a sudden, I felt something oh, here we go. Swelling in my loins. It had to be the drugs. Every part of my body was unnaturally worked up. I clutched at the collar of my shirt with one hand. The only way I could describe it was forced arousal. My shoulders heaved.
どうした？
Here we go. Taku peered at me. The instant our eyes met, an electric current shot through me.
どう？
Oh boy. He frowned, sensing something amiss. I intentionally slumped to the side, and he reached out to catch me on pure impulse. The faintest touch made my skin tingle, the impact tied directly to pleasure. I ran a hand along the arms currently wrapped around my body. His brow furrowed even more deeply.
どう？しっかりしろ。
We will not be doing that. Oh boy.
熱があるのか。
違う。薬打たれて。
それは。
Oh, well. He seemed to catch my drift. His expression grew hesitant.
とりあえず休んだ方が。
Before he could straighten up, I snaked an arm around his neck and pulled him to me. With his perplexed face mere inches from mine, I looked up at him.
相手しろ。
Here we go! No.
待て、それは。
Taku, listen. Okay, I won't say nothing. I won't say nothing. Okay. I know. That's why you've been avoiding. Ooh, Towa went for it. That's not a lip though. That's a tongue. Desperately, he tried to pull away, but I wasn't about to let him. I wrapped my arms around his head and slid my tongue between his protesting lips. He licked his tightly gritted teeth and nibbled on his lower lip, enticing him to open up.
やめろ。
He whipped his head to the side. But while he seemed hesitant, I didn't sense any repulsion. He always claimed he wasn't interested in the same sex. Maybe he couldn't turn me down since we'd known each other for so long. In that case, I was prepared to take full advantage. Dang, Towa said, I'm going in. I ran my tongue along his jaw to his neck and loudly sucked at his skin.
わかったから、ちょっと待て。
He shoved me back, distancing himself. The orange smoke that rose from his body spasmed and swayed restlessly.
薬のせいで収まりがつかない。そうなんだな。
I nodded. Blinking in bewilderment, he let out a sigh.
男としたことがないからよくわからん。あれだが、抜くくらい。
Have mercy.
それでいいか。
Oh boy. This was clearly the very best compromise he was willing to offer. Personally, as long as it solved the problem, I wasn't picky. I nodded. His face lit up with relief, then he pursed his lips.
それじゃこっちに背中を預けて。
Oh boy.
俺にもたれかかってくれ。
As requested, I sat up, turned around, and leaned back against him. I bent my knees and spread my legs. Oh boy, let's go. Impatiently, I unbuckled my belt and unzipped my jeans. This CD is really pretty. I think I remember seeing it. Okay, Taku. I let go of his hand and slowly rose to my feet.
他へ行く。
Somewhere else. In other words, to find a different partner.
待て。
Before I could leave, he grabbed my
そ
hand.
れはダメだ。やめろ。
できないんだろ
Oh, well, someone's gotta help me. Timidly, Taku averted his gaze. Then after a few seconds, he looked back at me with determination in his eyes. Taku, please. Are you sure? Are you sure?
俺がする。
This man spoils me way too much, is what I would say if I hadn't just bullied him into it. I tried to move off him, but I didn't have the strength, so instead I crashed to the
おい
floor.
大丈夫か。
He sat up, grabbed my arm, and hauled me back up to the sofa. As we both gasped for breath, I looked over at him. He awkwardly averted his eyes. As his lust faded and rationality took control, he would only feel more and more uncomfortable. Sluggishly, I reached out, grabbed my cigarettes off the coffee table, and lit one up.
どうだった
どう。
I was what? I smirked at him as I exhaled smoke.
案外男も悪くなかっただろ
Nonplussed, Taku stared at the floor and rubbed the back of his hand.
そういうことを言うな。お前があまりにも辛そうだったから、やむを得ず仕方なくやったんだ。
言ったくせに。
My playful jab earned me a sharp glare.
よくなかったのか？
He faltered and turned away.
そういうことを言うなと言ってるだろう。ノーコメントだ。
I looked down questioningly at his outstretched hand.
もうやめたんだろ。
そうだった。
He hastily retracted his hand. Then he began to fidget restlessly, lacing and unlacing his fingers over and over. I had to be in quite a state to forget that he quit smoking. Laughing to myself, I put my cigarette between my lips and rose to my feet.
俺は結構良かったよ。
He's like, just want to let you know.
男が初めてにしては上出来だった。
とは
He acted like he was mad at me, but his cheeks were faintly flushed. He was about to say something else, but instead he buried his face in both hands. Then, with a heavy sigh, he rose to his feet.
帰るのか？
He stopped and turned back, his expression conflicted. Then he left the room without another word. If I had to guess, a lot of different emotions had probably set in. The Taku I knew was an honest guy. Maybe he felt a pang of guilt or regret or something. Cigarette between my lips, I walked to the bathroom and stepped into the shower stall. After one long drag, I dropped the cigarette into the drain, then turned the shower on over my head. I quickly rinsed off all the bodily fluids, then stopped the water and walked out. Then I threw on some random clothes and headed for the sofa without drying my hair. Because of Tono's drug, my body still ached at its core, but it was now at a level that I could ignore. I had no interest in finding a one-night stand tonight. More importantly, it seemed like Tono drugged me as a threat to Taku. I lit another cigarette and took a deep drag, then lay back against the sofa. Something that blatant was bound to find its way back to Sakaki. In fact, I got the sense Tono went after me knowing Sakaki would find out about it. Was it a declaration of war against Sakaki, or was his business with Taku just that urgent? Or was it both? I put my cig between my lips and grabbed my phone off the coffee table. But before I could call Sakaki, it started to buzz. Believe it or not, Sakaki had chosen to call me at the exact moment. I put out my cigarette in the ashtray on the table, then answered the phone.
はい。
トワか、お前につけた監視から連絡があって、トーノがそっちへ行ったって聞いたな。
Well.
まあ、いろいろと。
そうか。
なんとか。
ならいいんだ。
詳しいことは聞き出せなかった。けど。
I told Sakaki everything I'd overheard between Taku and Tono. The one thing I left out was the secret basement at the clinic. I didn't blindly trust Sakaki, so I wasn't willing to give him more information than strictly necessary. When I finished, there was a several-second pause. We know that.
昔からトーノとつながってるんだよ。
昔から？
Yeah, how long is long?
今回の件も突然脅されたってわけじゃねえ。もともと組が先生にいろいろと助けてもらってて、トーノはその窓口やってたんだ。
Oh boy.
身元を隠したい人間の治療や診断書の偽造。
Ooh.
あとはわざと重症者に仕立て上げたり。高里組に借金がある連中の体に管理を
Oh, yep, here we go.
負債者の体内にウェブタグを埋めて町から逃げ出さねえように監視塔で追跡や管理をしてるってな知ってた。
Oh, yuppers.
ああ。
ウェブタグを埋めるのは高里組が信頼してる一部の医者しかやってるんだ。そういう意味でも先生は組の中で重要な位置にいるんだ。
Oh boy.
その
Oh boy.
いや
No.
まあ知ってる人間はほんの一部だ。で、トーノの野郎だが、あいつはおそらく個人的なヤバい仕事も頼んでやがったんだろう。
Oh boy.
今先生に手伝わせてる仕事もそうだ。
Yeah, it's drugs. I was just like, it's gotta be drugs.
薬
Ooh, let's go.
新しい薬物の開発だ。トノは昔から伝統や古いしきたりを嫌ってたからな。あいつからしてみれば、親父が死んでそういうもんを気にする必要
Yeah, that
も
would
な
make
く
sense.
むしろ俺が跡目を継ぐってことで、とっとと新しいビジネスを始めて、こっちを蹴落とそうと躍起になってんだ。だからまあ、村瀬先生がどういうつもりでトーノに協力してるのかはわからないが、あの二人は昔から関係があるってことだ。
トーノはタクに例の件まで時間がないって言ってた。何のことかわかるか？
例の件？いや、やろう。
Alright.
何か企んでいるのか。こっちでも調べてみよう。
It must be that thing Inada was talking about the politician showing up. Or at least it might be timed
万
that
が
way.
一って
You
時
know?
のために手も打ってあるからな。トーノの好きなようにはさせねえよ。
Man, Tsukake really likes Towa, huh?
何か仕込んでるのか？
お前に先生を登頂させたのだって仕込みのうちだ。こういうのはな、何重にも策を講じる必要があるんだ。とにかく先生と今後も一緒にいるべきか、真面目に考えた方がいいぞ。
I mean, honestly, the clinic is probably like the safer situation, even though
人間、
I don't know.
どんな裏があるかなんて見た目だけじゃわからねえからな。
Tsukake let out a sigh.
もし先生から離れるってんなら、俺のところに来い。その方が安全だ。
AG got some tea.
エイジに変わるぞ。お前に話があるんだとよ。
もしもし、トアさん。
After a rustling sound, I heard AG's cheerful voice on the other end of the
盗
line.
聴器の調子はどうですか？
Excellent.
問題ない。
それならよかった。村瀬先生のこと僕は知ってたんで今更って感じなんですけど、トアさんとしては
A little.
やっぱりショックですか？
What are you talking about?
意外ではあった。
そりゃそうですよね。長いこと一緒にいるんですし。本当は安全性を考えるならトアさんは榊さんのところにいた方がいいと思うんですけど、トアさんよりも村瀬先生が納得しませんよね、きっと。先生も先生なりにトアさんに対する責任感みたいなものもあるでしょうし、だからこの件に関してはトアさん次第ってことになると思います。
Right as I paused, I heard a knock at the door.
トア、具合はどうだ？
切るぞ。
Gotta go. We gotta go. I hung up the phone, and the next moment, Taku came into the room.
薬の効果は？
He's fast. Though he was still a little bashful, he was clearly making an effort to act normal. I looked up at him from the
もう
sofa.
切れた。
そうか。だが念のために安静にしていた方がいい。
Indeed.
副作用があるかもわからんからな。
As he spoke, he produced a little white paper bag and a bottle of
体外
water.
へ毒の排出を促す薬だ。飲んでくれ。
ああ。
After I took the pills from him, he continued to stare at
お
me.
前、渡しただけじゃそのまま飲まないことがあるだろ。だから、今飲んでほしいんだな。
Apparently, he was going to stand there until he saw me take the pills. He had never done this before. A tiny yellow flag rose up in my mind. I pulled the silver blister pack out of the paper bag and popped both pills into my mouth. More accurately, I pretended to. As I discreetly discarded the pills on the floor, I twisted the cap off the water bottle and took a sip. Once I finished, Taku let out a sigh of relief. He seemed convinced that I had taken the pills. And yet he still didn't budge. I furrowed my brow at him. Work. Okay. Back when. With a sigh, I lay down on the sofa and closed my eye. Instead of bickering with him, it'd be easier to just pretend to sleep. After I closed my eye, Taku continued to stand there unmoving. At first it irritated me and I wish he would get out, but over time it started to feel strangely familiar. Long time ago, someone used to watch over me like this while I slept. Was it Taku? I couldn't recall. It felt oddly reassuring to have someone there. Why did I feel that way? It puzzled me. As I lay there like a possum, I sensed Taku's movements. Then once I heard the door shut, I opened my eye. He was gone. I sat up, grabbed my phone off the coffee table, and opened the tracker app. I figured I'd double check Taku's location just to be sure. The icon marking him was flashing over the clinic building. Phone in hand, I rose to my feet and headed for the door. Instead of the elevator, I took the stairs down to the first floor. Oh gosh, here we go. I walked down the hall to the storage room and grabbed the handle. It opened. Quietly, I slipped into the dark room and walked to the far door. Last time, it had been left ajar, but today it was closed. Experimentally, I reached out and twisted the knob, locked. So I squatted down, pulled my lockpick wire from my pants pocket, and inserted it into the keyhole. Working from feel alone, I jiggled the pins until I felt the tension diminish, then pulled my tools back out. Then I tried to handle again, and sure enough, it opened. Carefully, I opened the door and headed down the stairs. At the bottom was another door, but this one wasn't locked at all. Beyond it was what looked like an operating room. The figure stood at the operating table in the center of the room. He sensed me and turned. We're here. Taku's eyes widened at the unexpected visitor. Oh boy, here we go. He stood in the doorway, staring blankly back at him. Flustered, he averted his gaze. As I spoke, I swiftly glanced around the area. It's drugs. Yeah, it had to have been drugs, man. Like, ugh. On the operating table was a clear plastic bag full of pills. Defeated, he looked at me with anguish in his eyes. Ooh, girl. He furrowed his brow at me in horror. He muttered to himself in understanding. He squinted at me suspiciously. He didn't look convinced, but he dropped the accusation with a sigh. I mean, it was pretty dangerous. Told you not to go outside. Okay, like that was gonna do anything though. The emotion faded from his face. For a moment, Taku's smoke shifted tinged red and thrashed, but it quickly went back to normal. It was the first time I'd ever seen him like this. Normally, he was warm and cordial to everyone around him. but the man who stood before me was now cold. Oh, now was cold and emotionless. His icy gaze pierced
公に
me.
できない治療や診察をしてるって話も聞いた。それから、トーノに頼まれた新しい薬の開発のことも。
His eyes hardened
口で
further.
は散々綺麗事を並べておきながら、裏で随分なことをやってるんだろう。俺がトーノに薬を盛られたのも、
Ooh, tell
そ
it,
の
tell
とばっ
it,
ちり
tell
だ。
it to him, baby.
榊が言ってた通りかもな。お前のそばにいた方が危ないって。
確かに。
This is like really sad, actually. He averted his eyes as he muttered.
そう取られても仕方がないとは思う。だが、
Have
俺
you?
はずっとお前を見てきた。お前が子供だった頃からずっと、病気や怪我の治療も、健康管理もしてきたんだ。だから、お前を危険な目に遭わせたくないという気持ちは本当だ。それは、榊さんも同じ気持ちのはずなんだ。あの人は、お前を自分の息子のように気にかけてる。
What do you think of him, Taku?
つまり、トーノからしてみれば、お前は格好の標的ってことだ。
What's the T?
最悪、脅しの手段としてお前を殺そうとする可能性も十分に考えられる。それだけは、絶対に許さない。
His voice was quiet, but the more he spoke, the more feverish his gaze became. His smoke turned bright scarlet, almost like it had been painted
お
over.
前が誰かに殺されるなんて、いなくなるなんて、絶対に許さない。
What's gonna happen after this? Like, girl, where are we gonna go? Like, it felt like he was talking more to himself than me. Taku walked up to me, his expression perfectly blank, and grabbed me by the shoulders. His fingers dug into my arms.
許さない。お前が
Oh?
俺の元からいなくなるなんて、絶対に。
Okay, we're getting there, we're getting. His eyes were unfocused. He wasn't really looking at me. His empty gaze sent a chill down my spine. When I called his name, his eyes widened like he had woken up from a dream. He backed away from me, one hand pressed to his mouth. Stammering, Taku looked at me hesitantly. No trace of that empty gaze remained.
襲おうとでも思ったか。
Ooh! Instantly, his brow furrowed in anguish.
そう？そんなバカな。違う、俺は。
Bro, he had no idea what like he's not in his right mind right now.
本当にそんなつもりじゃなかったんだ。ただお前が心配だということをどうしても伝えたくて。
A little too concerned, if you know what I mean. Wordlessly, I turned on my heel and hurried to the door.
おい、トア！
I ran out of the basement and up the stairs. Meanwhile, my mind replayed everything that had just happened. Taku was like a completely different person back there. His dead-eyed stare gave me goosebumps. What was he planning to do to me if I hadn't spoken up? Never before had I seen him look like that. I left the clinic and ran down the dark street. But my mind was composed and rational. I had run out of the building on purpose to fluster him. My intention, to see if I could draw out that other side of him again. To tell the truth, I was curious about this other side of him. I ran for a while, then ducked into a random alley and came to a stop. Listening intently, I scanned the sounds of my surroundings. No sign of anyone chasing me. Once I caught my breath, I leaned against the alley wall. I wasn't wearing my coat, so the chill quickly permeated the fabric of my shirt. felt nice against my flesh skin. I leaned my head back and looked up at the sky. Then I remembered Taku's empty gaze, and the hair on the back of my neck stood on end. I found myself craving nicotine. All this time. A short while later, I heard the sound of speedy footsteps approaching. They were coming from the other end of the alley. I straightened up and looked in the direction of the sound. I thought maybe Taku had come after me, but it didn't sound like him. Eventually, a lone figure appeared at the other end of the alley, his labored breaths echoing off the narrow walls. When he spotted me, he froze. It was too dark to make out any identifying figures.
Towa-san.
Is that... I heard a familiar voice and squinted at him. I was like, it's probably... It's always Igarashi. The figure scrambled over to me.
Towa-san, 会えてよかった。
Igarashi beamed brightly, though his countenance was looking haggard.
俺相談したいことがあって、それで父さんに直接会おうと思ってたんす。
He pulled a plastic bag from his coat pocket. Inside, I could see a ton of pills, probably about 100, maybe more.
これ。
Ooh. He paused and stared at the ground.
村瀬先生のところから持ってきたんす。
It was Igarashi. My man.
クリニックからか。
At the clinic?
はい。この薬。
I shifted my gaze from the pills to
作らせてるやつ
Igarashi.
なんす。
トーノがタクに薬を作らせてること知ってるのか？
Nodding, he stowed the bag back in his pocket.
榊さんから聞いてます。っていうか、榊さんの隠れ家がトノさんにバレたんで。
Oh no.
いよいよやばくて。
Oh boy. Man, we are buck wild in
できた
here.
ってどういうことだ？
I cut in, bringing him back on topic. His face crumpled like he was about to
実は
cry.
俺、1週間くらい前なんすけど。
Oh, it was
榊さんから
Oh no.
クリニックの地下に忍び込めって言われて。
忍び込む？
はい。もし薬があったら取ってこいってそう言われてたんす。だから俺ずっと先生のことを張ってて、外出した時を狙って忍び込めないか様子を伺ってたんす。
Oh.
それで昨日
Oh.
とうとう
It's Igarashi. You gotta watch out for Igarashi. You know, he was the MVP this whole time. He squeezed his eyes shut. He must have picked the locks to get in, same as me. Any Takasato grunt would know how. That aside, the timing lined up when I planted the bugs on Taku and discovered the basement for myself. Furthermore, Taku reported to Tono that there were signs of a break-in. At the time, he said nothing had been taken, but apparently that was a lie. Good thing too, since if he admitted someone had stolen the drugs, there was no telling what Tono would do.
榊さんが言ってたんすけど、近々遠野さんが何か企んでるみたいなんす。内容はわからないけど。
Yeah, it doesn't sound spicy. I can tell you that.
トワさん、俺怖いんす。
I know, honey. He bit his lip in anguish.
榊さんに言われたから仕方なくやりましたけど、俺のせいでもし先生に何かあったらって。
Oh, I know, honey, I know.
そう思ったら。
He's not made for this life. Absolutely.
誰かに話したからって許されるわけじゃないんすけど、トワさんに話したいってそう思って。
Just then, I sensed someone's presence. I raised a hand to stop him from saying another word. Right now, I was being surveilled by Tono's men. It wasn't safe for me to remain in one location for too
移
long.
動するぞ。
Let's take this somewhere else.
どこへ行くんす？
俺もトーノに監視されてる。デスマッチエリアの方が見つかりにくい。
なるほど。
Okay.
確かにそうっすね。
Glanced around and headed deeper into the alley. Ooh, girl, we going. With Igarashi in tow, I approached the deathmatch area. On our way, we noticed black Yakuza cars and groups of men clearly searching for someone. We gave them a wide berth until we finally made it inside the deathmatch area.
なんとかなりましたね。
Igarashi was out of breath from speed walking to match my pace. I was still on guard, however. A group of men all dashed at us out of nowhere. No way! Then a familiar black car pulled up, brakes screeching right next to us.
まったく懲りないな、お前も。
Tono hopped out from the front passenger seat and looked at me in contempt. Then his gaze shifted to
お前も
Igarashi.
一緒か。
Igarashi flinched, eyes as wide as saucers. I scrutinized Tono's expression. He seemed surprised to see me and Igarashi together, but I didn't detect any panic. Maybe he wasn't aware that the pills had been stolen. I didn't notice any dramatic changes in his smoke either.
二人ともこっちへ。
Oh boy. Just then another car came speeding down the street and braked hard right next to us. The driver opened his door. Ah, let's go. Let's go, Sakaki. Let's go.
榊さん。
Igarashi murmured, terrified. Sakaki faced off with Tono, a hard look on his face. Oh no. Then a white van pulled up and a bunch of goons, probably Sakaki's men, filed out. Oh no, oh no. This is not what we wanted. Tono watched all of this unfold with eyebrows raised in amusement.
おいおい。まさか次期組長さんまで乗り込んでくるとはな。
Sakaki laughed and a provocative sneer rose up on his face.
そっちこそ相当トアに入れ上げてるようだな。一日でわざわざ2
Yeah,
回
I
も
mean,
会
he
いに
ain't
来る
wrong, he ain't wrong. They glared at each other in silence for a
や
moment.
れやれ。穏やかじゃないな。落ち着けよ。さっき立ってるバカたちにもそう言ってくれないか。
問題は早期解決が第一だ。だろ？裏切り者が出るならなおさらな。
Girl.
はあ、それは初耳だ。大いに問題だな。だが、どうやら俺たちが疑われているようじゃないか。な？ああ、
俺も残念だよ。共に高里組を支えていく仲間だと思ってたんだがな。
そんなことも見抜けない組長じゃ誰もついていかないんじゃないか。新小海はお前には支えられない。
また戦争でも追っ始めようってのか。
それも楽しそうだな。
Ooh. Tono reached into his jacket pocket. Likewise, Sakaki put a hand to his own pocket. Their cronies surrounded them in a big, tense circle. My eye fixed on the scene in front of us. I leaned close to
俺が
Igarashi.
動いた。すぐに榊のところへ行け。
え、トワさんは？
But I didn't answer. Instead, I turned and bolted in the opposite direction. Instantly, the tension exploded. Shouts and gunfire in all
おい
directions.
待て。トワ。
While the subordinates all fought amongst each other, Sakaki and Tono chased after me. I barreled down a narrow alley. I could hear sharp gunshots in the distance. Were they from Sakaki and Tono or their goons?
止まれ。トワ。
Oh, Taku? Reflexively, I whipped my head around at the unexpected voice. And a gun fired nearby. A hard impact struck me from behind, and I crumpled face down to the ground. Sparks popped in my vision as my jaw hit the hard asphalt. Someone had pushed me aside. It was the owner of the unexpected voice, Taku.
Taku?
What was he doing here? Had he chased me all the way from the clinic? I was pretty sure he hadn't followed me. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see him grimacing in pain. The gunshot didn't hit me then. I sat up and looked at him. There was a dark stain on the left side of his chest, and I could see scarlet fluid faintly trickling out. Blood.
たく、手間かけさせやがって。
I could hear the click of Tono's shoes on the pavement. No sign of Sakaki. The gun in his right hand was still smoking. Scowling, he came to a stop in front of us.
とは、お前がおとなしくしないから、村瀬も榊もいらん怪我をする羽目になったんだ。榊は仕留め損なったが、また別の機会にやればいい。今はお前たちの方が先だ。
Oh gosh, oh somebody.
とは、逃げろ。お前だけでも。
Taku grunted in pain. With a chuckle, Tono stomped on his chest. This guy sucks.
残念ながらお前ととはセットでお持ち帰りだ。
Grinning, he raised his gun at my head.
うちの連中がもうすぐ来る。それまで妙な真似はするなよ。
How are we gonna get out? How are we gonna get out? I sat on my knees next to Taku and silently stared back at him. As Tono and I quietly glared at each other, an explosion of footsteps rang out. Probably his goons.
とは、
I looked over at Taku. He was sweating bullets as he gazed at me with agony in his eyes.
とは、すまん。
And with that, he closed his eyes. For a moment, all the hair on my body stood on end. My mind went blank, and I failed to process what I was seeing. He died? With that thought, I reached out and pressed my fingers to his throat. I could feel his pulse throbbing away. He was alive.
死んだか？まだ生きてるだろう。
I fixed Tono with an icy stare as he smiled thinly.
お前、本当に反応が薄いな。人の血が通ってないんじゃない？
Can you back up? I swear I'm gonna fucking slap you. Myself. He sneered down his nose at me. Then finally, I heard the sound of a car engine approaching. Please tell me I can't do this no more. Taku and I were shoved into the back of the car. They drove us to District B and parked at a hotel owned by Tono himself. When we got out of the car, his subordinates flanked us tightly on both sides, escorting us in. With Tono leading the way, we all boarded the elevator. Then one of the lackeys slid a card into the small panel below the floor buttons. The elevator started to rise on its own, going past the top floor and stopping at the 18th. Oh man, this escalated so fast. This is only chapter 3. Okay. The elevator doors opened and we all filed out. A hallway stretched out in front of us, with doors on either side and floor lighting spaced intermittently along the way. I looked up at the ceiling and spotted a round device affixed in the corner of the ceiling, probably a surveillance camera. Tono led us down the hallway until he stopped short at one of the doors. One of his henchmen produced a card key and opened the door. Tono walked in, then looked over his shoulder at us.
村瀬は何度か来ているから知っているだろうが、ここは俺が運営している会員制の複合型カジノ施設。16階から18階まではプライベートエリアになっていて、一般人は入れない。薬が完成するまでの間、お前たちはここに滞在してもらう。
Hello?
この部屋と隣の部屋を使え。村瀬が仕事をするための部屋は別に用意してあるから、後で案内させる。プライベートエリアを歩き回るのは構わんが、必ず見張りをつける。建物の外には出るな。
I hate it here.
やれ。
Once Tono gave the go-ahead, his subordinate started feeling me up. He emptied my pockets, including my phone and the earpieces. They stripped off Taku's jacket and confiscated all of his stuff too. He was barely conscious, so he didn't protest.
トア、お前はこっちだ。
Tono beckoned for me with one finger, then opened the door. I walked over to him, but as I left the room, I glanced back at Taku. He still showed no signs of stirring.
村瀬の怪我は手当てする。心配するな。
Right now, I had no choice but to obey. I turned and left the room. Tono walked down the hallway, then stopped at a different room and opened the door with a keycard. The interior reeked of perfume. 5 or 6 women lounged on the bed and sofa, dressed in fancy clothes. When they spotted Tono, they all donned up syncopathic smiles and straightened up. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. They slurred sweetly, greeting him.
ここにいるのは乗客やゲストをもてなすために控えている。
not the special
そこらの
ladies.
キャバクラとはレベルが違うルックスの女しかいない。
I don't know, she's looking a little generic, but upon further inspection, I noticed they were all tall and slender. But I wasn't interested in women, or more accurately, I didn't feel comfortable around them. In the past, girls would hit on me and I was receptive to it, but dating them was too much work, and I didn't enjoy it myself. Wasn't sure when the discomfort first started, probably childhood if I had to guess. These days I try to avoid them where possible. So if he wanted to impress me, it wasn't working. Did he really bring me here just to show me his collection of women? Mildly puzzled, I looked around the room. Just then I realized that one of the escorts wasn't looking at us. She was sitting on the edge of the bed with her back turned. She seemed to despise being with these women, or rather being here at all, with every fiber of her being. Then she looked over her shoulder and made eye contact with me. With her shoulder-length hair, she looked like an ordinary, quiet woman. She quickly averted her eyes, but it was too late. Something about her had given me pause. I didn't notice any changes in her smoke. Tono noticed me looking at her and
あの
smirked.
女は上玉なんだがな。態度が堅くななんだ。
Oh boy.
ああいう手合いは珍しくもない。仕事さえこなせば何の問題もないということで好きにさせている。
それより、俺をここに連れてきた理由は？
His smirk
お
deepened.
前は村瀬と榊、両方の人質だ。特に村瀬には仕事を完遂してもらわなきゃならないから。
so much.
だが、せっかくここまで来てもらったんだ。遊びを提供しようと思ったんだよ。
He doesn't like women. Fun? I looked back at him dubiously. He
村
chuckled.
瀬が見たら、心臓が止まっちまうかもしれないな。
Does Tono know? Like, Towa doesn't like women. Okay. But he ignored my confusion and clapped his
さ
hands.
あ、それじゃあオーダーといこうか。
Oh boy.
最高の料理に仕上げてくれ。
Why am I here, Tono? I'm being tortured. On cue, the women all gathered around me. Bewildered, I turned and glared at Tono
お前
reproachfully.
に与えられた仕事だとでも思っておけばいい。
The woman gently grabbed me by both arms. I hope to hell I was wrong. Are they gonna make him one of them, like, kind of thing? In the end, I let them drag me off to the other side of the room. I have a feeling that's what this is about. I had assumed they would take me to the bed, but instead we went to the bathroom. The room was blindingly bright. The light glinted off the white marble floor and directly into my eye. Against the far wall, I could see a glass shower stall and a big round jacuzzi bathtub. Near the door was a countertop with 2 sinks. Examining the women here in the light, I noticed that in spite of their supposed good looks, they were all gaunt with patchy skin. I suspected maybe they were drug addicts based on their slurred speech earlier, but now I was sure of it. Oh boy. A woman with wavy bleached hair stood me in front of the sinks. I still didn't understand what was going on, but nevertheless, I slowly started to strip. Then another woman walked over. She was carrying a dress in her hands. It was visibly well tailored and made of glossy, flowy fabric. Once I was reduced to my underwear, the heavy-haired woman took the dress and held it out to me. Yeah, I knew it. Okay, I repeated blankly. The item in question was clearly women's
大
clothing.
柄な子でも入るサイズだから大丈夫。あなた、
Yeah,
細い
he's
し。
pretty skinny.
トーノさんのオーダーよ。あなたを女性に。
Oh boy, here we go. I stared back agog. Was this my new job? Not cool.
それを着たらメイクとヘアセットもするから。
This wasn't especially encouraging, so I stood there blankly. And she shoved the dress at me urgently. She pulled her... Why is it closing up on her? She pulled her hand away and I reflexively snatched the dress before it could fall. Resistance was starting to feel pointless, so I decided to cooperate. That said, I didn't know the first thing about wearing a dress. As I stared down at the delicate fabric, the other women sensed my confusion and came over to help. Somehow, they managed to squeeze me into it. Honestly, I had no idea women could tolerate wearing this crap on a daily basis. It was tight, restricting, and extremely uncomfortable.
オッケー、次はメイクね。
For your makeup, oh boy. Without a single moment to catch my breath, they sat me down in front of the sinks. Wavy-haired woman pinned my bangs up and started applying various liquids and powders to my face. My skin took a glossy sheen like the dress, and I had to fight the urge to scrub it off. And because there was a mirror right in front of me, I was forced to watch myself transform. It felt like I was being physically altered into a different life form, and I hated every minute.
傷跡を隠せば結構いい感じじゃない？アイシャドウはこの色が合いそう。
Oh boy, here we go. The girls gleefully gabbed amongst themselves, paying no mind to how I felt.
ねえ、あなた、トーノさんに気に入られてるの？
Oh, honey, no. Oh, no.
さっき聞いただろ。
Didn't you hear? I'm hostage.
でも、トーノさんが男に女装させたがるなんて
It's just imprisonment and torture.
今まで
Oh
聞い
boy.
たことないわよ。
He's a special case, honey.
大抵は監禁して拷問とかそういう感じだし。
あんたたちはトーノが怖くないのか？
Oh, I'm sure they are.
怖いって言えば怖いけど、逆らわなければ優しいし、たまに欲しいものを買ってくれることもあるし、別に嫌いじゃないわよ。ねえ。
The other women all readily agreed.
もしかしたらあなたパーティーに出るの？
Oh boy, what party?
パーティー？
そう。もうすぐ本土の政治家や官僚たちを呼ぶパーティーがあるらしいの。
Okay, I was right. Okay. That's definitely an event.
でも、よく考えたらそんな大事な場所に女装した男の人を連れて行くなんてこと、さすがにないわよね。
They giggled. Oh boy, a party with mainland politicians and bureaucrats. Igarashi and Sakaki both claimed Tono was plotting something. Was he trying to have the drug ready in time for this party? Was that why he brought Taku here? The mainland police were always eagerly watching for the opportunity to take Shinkomi away from the Takasato Gumi. If they knew organization was planning to distribute a new drug, they'd pounce ASAP. So Tono probably figured he could keep the crops in check if he announced it as a business strategy and offered to share the profits. The goal of the party was probably to lay the groundwork for investor relations. Tono was rushing Taku to finish the job because of this hard deadline. If successful, Tono would gain massive support both internally and externally, giving him an optimal chance to upstage Sakaki.
そのパーティーっていつかわかるか
9日後って言ってたわよ。
9 days.
私たちも借り出されるの。
I see.
そうか。
Gotcha. As I spoke, I looked back at my reflection in the mirror. With skin like molded clay, I could no longer tell the difference between myself and the women around me. Show me the results. After my makeup was done, they put a wig on me and started styling my hair, all while having the time of their lives. And I stepped into a pair of stiletto heels, and apparently my makeover was complete. I was taken back to the living room. The perfume-like smell embedded in the makeup was making me sick. Both the dress and the heels were hard to move around in. If I fell, I probably wasn't getting back up. As I staggered across the room, I noticed Tono standing there. Apparently he was waiting for his finished product. I expected him to start making fun of me, but instead he looked at me with a satisfied grin.
思った以上の出来だな。なかなか似合ってるじゃないか。
Oh, he's so gross.
どうだ？女になった気分。
Ooh.
別にどうもしない。
Why is this part so big? But I guess, you know, yeah. I love it. I snorted at my apathetic response, then looked at the
お前た
woman.
ち、後で好きなものを買ってやる。
My tormentors all squealed in delight. Ooh, excuse me. All squealed in delight.
来い、とは。村瀬に披露しに行くぞ。
Oh boy. Like a gentleman, he elegantly proffered a hand. I
あん
ignored
た
it.
こういう趣味があるのか。
Is this what you're into? I was half teasing, half serious. He retracted his hand and shrugged.
いや、俺の興味の対象は女だ。あ、まあ、お前に関しては例外と言っていいかもしれんな。
俺なら抱けるって。
今のお前ならな。
He responded to my challenge with a twisted sneer.
そういう仕事だと思って、お前も割り切って楽しめよ。行くぞ。
He headed for the door. As for me, my legs were shaky and I could barely walk. These heels weren't easy to adapt to. As I floundered, Tono clucked his tongue and came back over. Then he slid an arm around my waist and pulled me close.
骨っぽいな。
Duh. He muttered flatly under his breath and started walking. I leaned against him, struggling to stay upright in these heels. Have mercy. After we left the women's room, we returned to the previous room. As Tono opened the door, Taku looked up from the bed. He was now fully conscious and Tono's men had patched him up.
村瀬、お前にいいものを見せてやる。
Oh gosh. Tono spoke in an uncharacteristically cheery voice as he walked in. Yanking me close to him, I stumbled out in front of Taku. He stared. Oh, yeah, okay. He stared back at me in shock, his brow furrowed in confusion. Maya! His mommy. Quietly, he murmured a name I didn't recognize. Then Tono grabbed me by the jaw and pulled me close.
驚いて声も出ないか？本当にマヤに瓜二つだよな。俺もちょっとした冗談のつもりでやってみたんだが、血のつながりってのはバカにできないもんだと思ったよ。
Yipey. This is getting a little weird. Taku's expression shifted from shock to fury and he glared at Tono.
Tono, お前。
マヤって誰だ？
When I cut in, Tono released my jaw and smirked.
なんだ、覚えてないのか？
He has
お前の
amnesia.
母親の名前だよ。
Taku sucked in a breath.
母親？
He's like, what?
村瀬はな、お前の母親に惚れてたんだ。
Don't say that now.
やめろ。
つまりお前はこれまでずっと母親の身代わりをさせられてたってことだよ。
No, 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 how dare you.
母親の面影を重ねてるんだ。
How dare you.
違う。
Tono watched in amusement as Taku spluttered. Maya. I couldn't remember much about my mother. Even when I tried, I could only recall a vague silhouette at best. Was that why Taku always got so overprotective of me? Ouch. If so, then I wasn't bothered by it. It didn't really matter to me.
村瀬はこう見えて結構厄介な男なんだよ。
別に。
Tono grabbed me by the jaw again.
俺は男には興味がないんだが、ここまでべっぴんに仕上がるとは正直思ってなくてな。さすがに欲しいと思っても仕方がないよな。
No, 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 no. He donned a creepy grin, probably trying to provoke Taku.
むしろ男をこいつで試してみるって手もある。
No, no,
もし
no,
いい具
even
合
as
だ
a
ったら
joke.
相手にしてもいい。
He's gross, gross. He stroked my cheek seductively, tracing his thumb over my lower lip.
Tono!
Right as he leaned in close, Taku screamed his name.
手を出されたくなければ、早く仕事を片付けろよ。
I hate it here. He spoke flatly, then turned for the door, dragging me along with him. It was all I could do just to stagger in the same direction. I looked over my shoulder at Taku and found him glaring down at his tightly balled fists. His swaying smoke had turned dark red. For some reason, the sight made the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. But Tono yanked me toward him, so I was forced to turn and leave Taku behind. Dang, ma. After that, Tono took me back to his room, but all he ever asked me to do was serve his booze to him. He reclined on the leather sofa and drank in silence without looking at me. Then, about an hour later, he summoned one of his goons and ordered him to escort me back to my room. Despite everything he'd said in front of Taku, he didn't actually seem to have any interest in guys. As soon as I left Tono's room, I stepped out of the stilettos and walked the rest of the way barefoot. Finally, the biggest thorn in my side was gone. My assigned room was right next to the room where Taku and I were first taken. There's a man in a suit standing out front, probably on guard duty. Was Taku still in the room next door? We paused in front of the door while the subordinate used a key card to open it. Inside it was pitch black. By inserting the key card into the card reader on the wall, the light switched on. Now I could see that the layout was the same as the room next door. With his job now done, my escort left the room without another word. Alone, I looked up at the four corners of the ceiling, then walked along the walls. At a glance, I couldn't find any spy cameras or listening devices. There was a phone on the bedside table, but it was almost certainly tapped. Better not to use it. After I gave the room a once-over, I let out a sigh of relief. Suddenly, I was exhausted. Apparently, I was a lot more tense than I realized. As my gaze wandered, I spotted an unfamiliar figure reflected in the mirror on the wall. Obviously, it was me. I looked so ridiculous I couldn't stand it a single moment longer. In the bathroom, I stripped off the tight dress and wig, then washed my face with soap and water over and over until the makeup came off. I roughly rubbed a towel over my face, then stepped out of the bathroom in my underwear and sat down on the edge of the bed. I was craving nicotine but couldn't find any cigarettes lying around. The pack I had on me was confiscated back when we first arrived, as was my phone. Clucking my tongue in frustration, I got up and walked to the closet to look for new digs. On the shelf, I could see a few stacks of folded clothes. I threw on some stuff at random, then pulled the keycard out of the card reader and left the room. The guard outside accosted me immediately. I need cigarettes. He blocked my path and refused to play along with my banter. I carefully observed him as I spoke. He looked at me but didn't quirk a brow. He struck me as the uptight, no-nonsense type. I smiled and looked up at him. Yeah. Try it. Yeah. Poke at him. The guard pursed his lips. In the back of my mind, I wish I'd waited a little longer to defeminize myself. Ooh. I paused suggestively, then leaned in close. Then I gazed deeply into the man's eyes. Oh gosh. I whispered softly. He recoiled, his expression one of mingled surprise and hesitation. No sign of disgust. I smirked internally. If he didn't reject me, then I could twist him around my little finger. I stepped forward to bridge the gulf between us and wrap my arms around his neck. Ooh, girl, you go. Yeah! He's seducing you, bro. The words left my lips in a breathy whisper directly into his ear. Yeah. Come on, Towa. Let my words trail off, then planted a squeaky kiss on his neck. Instantly, his ears flushed. The Yes.
気持ちいいことはみんな好きだろ。あんたも好きだよな。俺はそれが人一倍強いってだけ。
Towa's too good at it. He murmured to himself, then fell
でも
silent.
その前にタバコが欲しい。ないとイライラするんだよ、本当に。さ、
ダメだ。
じゃあ持ってきてよ。退屈なのはタバコで我慢するから。それであんたが暇になったら遊ぼうよ。
With a seductive smile, I stroked his cheek. He swallowed and stared back at me, blushing furiously.
部屋で待ってろ。すぐに戻る。
Let's go.
わかった。サンキュー。
I pecked him on the cheek in farewell. Stiffly, he headed off down the hall. As I watched him go, I let out a sigh. I was practically the oldest trick in the book, but somehow he still fell for it. Were all men this stupid? Yes. yes, they are. Once he turned the corner, I set off down the hall in the opposite direction. Evidently, my room was the only one with a guard out front because I couldn't see any others. My destination, the women's room. Of all the women vying for Tono's affection, I recalled one who seemed to have closed herself off. Retracing my steps from memory, I arrived at the door. I knocked lightly, and after a moment, the door opened a crack. Ah, there she is. It was her, the one with the bob cut. This was my first time getting a good look at her face, but I recognized the hair. Her anxious expression paired with her petite build made her look like a teenager, though she was probably in her early
さっき来
20s.
たんだけど。
はい。どうかしました？
We do need some. Her voice was low and
携帯
hoarse.
落としたみたいで。
少し待っててください。
She leaned back and shut the door. Truth be told, I was lying. I knew I wouldn't find it lying around anywhere. The door opened again, and the short-haired woman
今
returned.
他の子にも聞いてみたんですけど、携帯電話はなかったって。
Work.
そうか。困ったな。連絡しろって言われてるのに。
Work.
遠野さんに？
ああ。
部屋の電話は？
壊れてるみたいで使えなかった。だから携帯がないと困るんだ。
Hesitating, the woman averted her eyes. I could tell she just needed a little push, so I
でき
pushed.
たらでいいんだけど、貸してもらえないか。
携帯です。
ああ。
Come on, baby. She looked at her feet.
トーノにバレたら怒られる。もちろん無理にとは言わないが、気にしないでくれ。
Oh boy, let's go. I hope being considerate would win me some pity points, but she kept staring at the
そ
floor.
れじゃ。
Right as I was about to end the conversation, she looked up in determination.
貸します。
Let's go.
いいのか？
はい。遠野さん、この時間はもうここへは来ないはずだから。部屋に入ってください。誰かに見られたら面倒なので。
Work. She peered cautiously down the hall, then opened the door wide. This is planned. That being said, I was lucky it was this chick in particular who came to the door. If she hadn't, I would have asked to speak to her. The moment I saw her sitting alone, I knew she was different from the rest. She distanced herself from the rest of the fawning sycophants, and she didn't seem like a drug addict either, maybe just a casual user at most. When I entered the room, I saw the other women lounging on the bed and sofa. They glanced at me, but quickly lost
少し
interest.
待っててください。
Okay. Sorry. This went buck wild, so let's see. Say. Okay. All right. This was wild. Woo, okay. Sorry, it was quiet for a good amount of like the last bit. There was a lot going on, so I was processing the sudden accelerated plot occurring. I did not guess. I mean, like I said, I guessed it was drugs, but I didn't guess the extent of this. Since Since Towa has amnesia, we also kind of have to discover things with him. So even though, like, again, it is mentioned that even though he's known Taku for a very long time, he doesn't remember a good amount of it. Which would explain why he doesn't even remember his mom's name. So again, like you said, it's probably trauma, you know, and the amnesia. But oh gosh, this is crazy. I was like, maybe I can finish this chapter. This chapter is very long. I didn't realize how long it would be, even without me running into the Mayu ending. This is very long, but we will maybe next part we can do it. But oh, that was crazy. It's been crazy. So I'm very excited to see how this all ends, because I don't know, you know, I didn't think it was gonna accelerate this fast. This is only chapter 3, you know, we're only at the first dude, and that's buck wild to me. So I mean, Tono's gotta perish or something, because even if they escape, Tono's not gonna leave them alone, if you know what I mean. So yeah, this is gonna be crazy. This is crazy, you know. But every time gangs are involved, you know, that's just how it is in anime type of beats. So anyway, this has been a lot of fun. Again, sorry if my commentary isn't as big during the game, but the story just went buck wild. Hopefully next part, you know, now that we're deep in it, I'll have a lot more to say. But I was taking in the story because there was a lot going on. I thought Igarashi was gonna die, you know, and I was like, Taku's not gonna die, is he? Like, you know, you're like, no, it's you know. So yeah, that was crazy. I'm man, this is gonna be buck wild. I'm sorry if this is just the first main dude, like, you know, the first main bachelor. Like, bro, this is gonna be busted. I'm so ready. But all right, I can't wait to see what we discover. And was Taku really in love with Towa's mom? Or is he just in love with Towa? Or is he actually projecting as Tono is accusing him of? I mean, you never really know. Maybe that's how it started, and that's probably, and like maybe now that's not the case, but you know, that kind of thing. But we'll find out hopefully in the next episode. Thank you again for joining me, you guys. This is this is so wild. I love nitro+chiral. But yeah, stay happy, stay healthy, stay well. Do not forget, if you like boys love and all things related, oh, and other related items, excuse me, I forgot my own tagline. Please check out You Can Smooch Tho, the BL podcast that I host, available on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Once again, thank you so much. I am having a great time with Towa and friends. Hopefully next episode we can break some homies out. I had a great time, and I hope you guys have a good night as well. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye and good night. Night.